Welcome back to another night of Stick with Cool Stick with Koolfrogg. Wow, I can't even talk. That's great. I can't talk and I'm by myself. Where's America's shirts? Does anybody know? Has anybody heard? Has anybody heard at all? America's shirts, where are you? America's shirts. America's shirts. And who's TR if you're still with me. The way you do your dates on YouTube. Well, it's because it's only 10 o'clock at night. It's still the 14th, dude. I'm not on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. Them's the mountains. Just saying. So, there's several articles pulled up for tonight with hopefully an exclusive afterwards. So hopefully America does show up. Uh, he was with us this afternoon. Said that he was going to be. Of course, I boomered. Didn't get him a StreamYard link right away. He does have one. Let's hope that he's up and at it. Let's go, sir. I don't want to do this by myself. There's so much going on. And I know that he has thoughts and opinions on all of it. The second that I start and I go through a couple of things and he does show up, he'll be like, well, did you cover this? Yeah. Did you cover that? Yeah. T3. What's up, dude? Take off your shirt. Okay. Look pretty for you. Grr. I don't know. I'm just sitting here waiting for an America shirt shop because that's he said that he was going to be here. I didn't plan for a night by myself because he did say he was going to be here. So much. So many thoughts, so many opinions. So there's two or a few incidences that are kind of bundled up together. And then there's some other things that are happening that kind of just make you wonder what's going to happen next. Toy Box. What's up, brother? Getting plowed tonight. Gotta get. Yeah, right. So there seems to be. I'm trying to decide on which way I want to actually start this. I figured I'd ask him which way he wanted to go. If he wanted to. That's kind of why I'm. So it's there's just so much. And just kind of allowing people to kind of make their way in here. Let's go. There's two people. So this is two concurrent people. So I don't know if that means that there's four people. I don't know. I don't get these numbers. I don't get the numbers because it says that there's three viewers, but then it says there's three concurrent. So three at the same time. Which means the one wouldn't show up until after you already had one. So it would mean that you'd have at least four. I don't know. Hello, Doxer. How's it going? Good to see you. Glad you're with us. We're gonna get going here in a short bit. We're just kind of chilling, hanging out, waiting for America shirts to show up, and maybe we'll get going beforehand. Like I said, I was trying to say that there's multiple things that are going on. There's um, things unidentified objects that have been they're calling them phenomena now, or whatever. I don't know, but apparently we've actually knocked down four of them. First one being the balloon that the United States allowed to travel all the way across the United States, and it seems what's the potentiality of there being another one? Well, I mean, we've seen three objects now that they're calling octagonal objects flying over Alaska, Canada area. Um, they've knocked three objects down, one into Lake Huron, and then two others, one into the Yukon, and then the other one into Alaska, into United States territory. Um, really seems as though there's a lot of turmoil going, and it's really gonna get serious. It's gonna get really strangely serious soon, and we're not Russian bombers in Alaska now. Yep, yep, exactly. I have that article here sitting here too. Let me see here. There he is.
Ah,
What is
who? Me? I'm not late. What are you talking about? Hi.
Eh,
How are you?
no, not at all. Not at all. What is going on, good sir? So we were just kind of randomly talking about all these strange odd events that are occurring, uh, like these unidentified flying phenomena or whatever that they're actually shooting down. They have to actually go retrieve. We haven't actually said anything about train derailments, but Doxer here said something about Russian bombers in Alaska, and I said, "Oh, I do have that article as well." Yes, and I figured I'd pull that one up just because he brought it up. I didn't know where to start. Like I said, there's so much. So then, come on, stupid hill. U.S. military said they intercepted a Russian warplanes near Alaska on Monday, and North American Aerospace Defense Command (NORAD) said it detected four Russian aircraft, including the Tu-95 Bear H bombers and Su-35 uh, fighter aircraft entering into operating with in the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, according to the Tuesday statement from the command. NORAD officials said they had anticipated the Russian activity and were able to quickly scramble two F-16 fighters to intercept the Kremlin aircraft in the Adzid, which covers the international airspace outside the U.S. and Canada near the far northern state. Two F-35A fighters, an E-30 Century, and two KC-135 Stratotankers were also sent to assist. So uh, we sent quite the force ourselves to go up against and see what these, um, what seem to be Russian warplanes entering into Alaska territory. Kind of scary, kind of disturbing. Mech shirts.
Well, I haven't heard this. When did this come out?
This is today.
Oh, so this is just today. So
Yeah, this is today. So this is actually today. Articles written today that this say it entered Alaska today or on Monday, I guess, which should have been yesterday.
now, intercepted. What does that mean? Does that mean they turned them away, or does it mean they like? I mean, I would imagine if they said shot down, it would have meant to shoot down. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, they did. It doesn't look like they removed them from airspace. They just intercepted them. So they we took our fighters and planes and went up and watched to see what they were doing. Intercepted their whatever their movements, caused them to turn away and go away from wherever they were doing. Why they were taking Russian airplanes and actually trying to enter into Canada's kind of or into Alaska's kind of strange in itself. And then we got these other things that are flying, uh, these balloons and unidentified phenomena that are actually running around this that we're shooting down. It's just like what the hell. There's an awful lot of strangeness going on, right? Did you hear about the train derailment? See, doctor wasn't with us this afternoon, which
Yeah.
is the reason why we actually said that we would cover several things both times. So then, exactly. So then there's the train derailments, the train derailment that actually led to um, multiple different chemicals being burnt at the same time, releasing toxins, and nonetheless killing multiple animals, humans.
Oh yeah, they say thousands of cattle all around the surrounding area are now dead. I was just I flipped it. The Quartering had pulled up an article from, I think it was like the Guardian from the UK, I think, or something like that, where they were saying that it's confirmed that thousands of cattle are already dead within the surrounding 50-mile radius or something like that from the burn. So it's, I mean, this is very, very serious and very toxic. I don't know if I can pull that up.
What are you looking
I can
for?
find it. Oh, he had an article that was talking about that they believe it's confirmed that thousands of cattle within the surrounding area and the farms and stuff have
Oh,
now
see, I
perished.
got
They're
I
now
got
dead.
one that's saying thousands of dead fish from Epic Times. When it comes to that, I don't have one that says dead cattle. But um, even the one, I mean, I suppose I don't care where we go. There's so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah, where do we go?
It's like how is all this tied to each other? Is there some kind of is there something? Are they creating things to keep us distracted from other things? I've been saying for years now that the shit's in the water. Drink bottled water only. I mean, I guess to a point. At the same time, you have to watch where your plastic bottles are stored. Can't store them in your car. Did He'll talk about the treasure room. Yeah, and that's the thing is we've
Oh my God, TR, where are you
yep.
with all of this? I mean, because he's from up
He's
there.
right.
He's
He's
been there
from
before.
right. He's from generally the region or whatever. So I mean, I bet he's concerned. Um, like I said earlier today, the where I first got it was, hey Rose, how's it going? Where I first picked it up was from Spencer Lawn Care. They run a YouTube channel out of Ohio where they mow lawns and like plow properties or whatever. So it's like um, he had said something at the beginning of his episode yesterday about looking up this stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Should go look that up. Go look into it. See what's actually happening. And there's an awful lot of um, like nobody talking about it. There's like they're hiding it or something. They didn't want people to know what was actually going on. So like you can see in this one, it says thousands of dead fish are reported on the Ohio derailment. So it says the train derailment, the release of toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio, on February 3rd was resulted in at least 3,500 fish dead, according to the estimate of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Wildlife Well, wildlife officers in Ohio Environmental Agency found dead fish in Leslie Run, Bull Creek, and portions of North Creek and Beaver Creek in Agency News 5 on Monday. As of February 8th, some 3,500 minnow, sculpin, darter, and small suckerfish have been killed by the chemical release, in the Department of Natural Resources told the outlet. Due to the spill, a water utility company in West Virginia announced Sunday that it will install a secondary intake on the Guyandotte River in case there needs to they need to use it to an alternate water source. Reported that the Associated Press. It said that there have been no changes in the raw water levels where it monitors the Ohio River. So because this is so big, you have to actually think about it. All these chemicals have to go somewhere, right? So they're making it into the waterways, and now all of a sudden you're looking at because we've seen the map from earlier today that showed the big large circle that encapsulated all of West Virginia, all of Ohio,
I can bring
half
that
of
back up again.
Pennsylvania, most of um, or the whole tip of Canada, all the way up to Toronto, and then all the way over to and encapsulating Detroit, Michigan. So it's like this area that it could affect is huge, and there's a very very large population of people in that area.
See if I can
Docs are
pull that
good.
map back up.
You have a good one, dude. Sleep well. Due to the spill, the water utility company in West Virginia announced Sunday that it will install a secondary intake. So the secondary intake, to just in case, and they're that concerned that they're ready to just go ahead and install this, get it ready. We don't want to be concerned in a week where us and we're contaminated, waters all the way up and down the nation here. So it could get disastrous fast if it isn't already. Came after a woman who lives in the area said that she saw dead fish in Leslie Run, saying that her family uses the same water. That's what we bathe in. That's what we drink. That's what we cook with, and that's what we also give to my animals. So it's major concern that they could reassure me the water was safe to drink. They didn't say it wasn't, absolutely refrained from saying that it was. Who lives 3 miles from the train derailment, Linda Murphy told the outlet. Uh, Environmental Protective Agency confirmed the chemicals released from the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, earlier this month have been found in the Ohio River, one of the largest rivers in the United States. In a letter sent on February 10th, the EPA said that there were substances from the train that were now observed and detected in samples from Sulphur Run, Leslie Run, Bull Creek, North Fork, Little Beaver Creek, and Ohio River. Meanwhile, materials related to the incident were observed entering storm drains. A train operated by Norfolk Southern derailed near East Palestine February 3rd. Authorities have confirmed um, a range of toxic and highly flammable chemicals were being carried, including vinyl chloride, phosgene, and hydrogen chloride. During a controlled release, the burn of materials on the train, officials had an issue a temporary evacuation in order of East Palestine. Now, earlier when we read this, there was seemed like there were a couple more this one here. There's a butyl acrylite, and then there's some other a couple other similar named gases or whatever that would seem to be being transported. There's a massive amount of chemical can be very disastrous to a lot. One of the municipal water company serving Louisville, Kentucky, said that the chemical butyl acrylate, sorry, confirmed that confirmed to be carried in the derailed train was observed in the Ohio River. Louisville sits on the Ohio River, one of the largest rivers in the United States, and one of the that contributes significantly to the Mississippi River. So so then that's pushing water the other direction, to the further west, which could be very damaging if you're actually going to the point of actually destroying the Mississippi River as well. Uh, Kind of interesting how this is occurring right now, and some have likened it to something similar to like a Chernobyl effect. Like this is not good.
I have
Good.
that map pulled up again.
Oh, okay, there it is. There you go.
So this is the 200-mile radius around the explosion zone and the spillage zone and all the rest of that. And as you can see there, it goes clear up into Canada or Canada, whichever you prefer. And it's to Buffalo, New York, up into the Detroit area there, and some
Right,
of the more
Detroit.
populated
Detroit
areas.
takes up that whole bottom side of Michigan there.
And this goes all through Pennsylvania, down to DC, Maryland, all of West Virginia, all of Ohio, this whole region here. That a 200-mile radius could potentially see something. And of course, that depends on where the wind blows. That depends on, rainfall and all the rest of it. Now, there's a system of precipitation that's coming from the southwest, and it is moving to the northeast, this direction. So this is very weird. But because normally everything kind of blows down this direction from the northwest to the southeast direction. This is moving from the southwest to the northeast kind of direction. And then, of course, it might like come up. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but like it might, the rain might come up and then move sort of laterally across, or it might move straight up. I forget exactly which direction, but either way, it's a little odd. But that is what we're looking at. within a 50-mile radius, it seems like everything is either sickly, or is dying, or is dead. So, yeah, for all those who did not watch earlier, we did go over a lot of this, but yeah, I mean, it
Check
is.
private chat.
Oh, no, but but let me see. Let me zoom out here. Let me go. And this is what happened, by the way. This is a picture of what happened the day of the explosion. And this cloud that you see forming there, the big black cloud that's covering everything, it grew very large. It filled up the entire sky. This is just the middle of the day. I mean, it's like a freaking volcano. I mean, look at it. Like, it's a literal, and it's like piercing the atmosphere so fast that it's acting like a volcano, where it's like the volcano, like, it has its own like cloud that forms around it because it's moving up into the atmosphere so fast, and then whatever's in it is dispersing, and so it's all throughout. And so that's a picture of the day of. This happened a week ago, ladies and gentlemen.
Does the rain carry it further? I mean, there'd be a potential that the the rain could saturate some of it, but it could also help carry some of it. You'd think. You wouldn't think
Well,
that
if it's in the higher levels of the atmosphere, once it catches all of the toxins and things, it'll bring it back down as the rain. It'll catch it up.
Well, right. So then you'd want it to, to disperse itself right away, as opposed to carrying it, further away from itself.
Oh, White Rabbit says, hi, I wanted to stop by before heading towards Dreamland.
Rabbit.
Well, thank you. Hope you rewatch, because I'm hoping this is going to be very educational for people. But yeah, so the concern is the rain taking it from, and if I can bring it back again, the map here, and just zoom up on it like so. Actually, there we go. The concern is the rain will take this from this area and disperse it further. So it might not necessarily be a perfect circle like this. Obviously, it'll depend on where the wind and the weather takes it. And that's the concern, is that the rain, as it moves up, the moisture will catch this up into the clouds, and then it's going to dump the chemicals back down as rain all over the place. And then it'll get into the ground. So it's not going to stay in the upper levels of the atmosphere and blow away. It's going to get into the water. It's going to get into the ground. It's going to get into the groundwater, and it's going to go all throughout this area. That's the concern. Now, I don't know how much is there. From the looks of what happened, there's a lot. Now,
so then you see this here. So vinyl chloride does not exist at above 8 degrees Fahrenheit. It burns and creates other more toxic chemicals. So
yes.
the fumes, the gases that are being released from it or whatever are what's actually really toxic.
Yes, right. Because it breaks apart and then, creates all these, all these are toxins. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's what we were, dangerous. That's what all of the stuff that we've been looking at has been saying and talking about. So that's the concern with that, is that there's a weather system, as I said before, there's a weather system coming up, and we don't know how exactly this is going to go in this area here for all these people. Now, let's go. Let me go back down here a little more. This is some of the, and we were looking at this earlier, and people are saying that, this is salt and all this stuff. But this individual is claiming that posted this, that this is as a result of the rainwater. Now, I heard somebody else say that one of the things that some of these chemicals could do, the chemicals that would have been released burning vinyl chloride, what it could have done is mix with some of the precipitation. So it was like hydrogen chloride, I think was one of them. And if you mix hydrogen chloride with the water, it creates almost like a salt type crystal. I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's table salt or anything like that, or I don't even think it's rain or excuse me, like a snow melter salt or anything like that. I don't know about that kind of deal, but they said that it could create something like this in the atmosphere, is what I was reading earlier, and then that could come back down as the rain. I don't know how toxic that might be. And so they're claiming that the rain damaged their vehicle with this. Now, I don't know. Maybe this is like, somebody trying to get attention on Twitter. Some of the people were speculating about that earlier. This just looks like somebody that went through, like rubbed up against something and they're like, went through a bunch of salt. But that's what these people are claiming. They're claiming that this was as a result of, and it wasn't a ton of rain. It was just a little spurt of rain even that they claim. And it was 70 miles southeast of, or excuse me, 70 miles southeast of East Palestine, Ohio. So yeah, that's if you go back up to the map, that's, again, I'm not saying this is true, but the incident's like right here in the dead center of the red, and so it would be down here along the Ohio River ish. So just going over all the things that I went over earlier with stuff.
So then, to go along with that, because like I said, I was doing a bunch of digging today trying to find different articles, and it looks like Pete Buttigieg actually did come out and make a statement because, he's the transportation guy. Right?
Allegedly.
Poor animal. That's that talking point you're at. We'll bring that animal back up here again. So this is the NTSB has said that Tuesday's statement, the investigators had identified and examined the rail car that initiated the derailment. Adding surveillance video from the resident showed what appears to be a wheel bearing in the final stage of overheat failure moments before the derailment. The agency says it's published a preliminary report in the incident 2 weeks, as it is still examining evidence from the train and cars. NTSB investigators have identified and examined the rail car that initiated the derailment. Surveillance video from a resident showed what appears to be a wheel bearing in a final stage of overheat failure moments before the derailment. They're just going to keep on repeating themselves. The tank cars are currently being decontaminated. Once the process is complete, NTSB investigators will return to Ohio to complete a thorough examination of the tank cars. The vinyl chloride
so
tank
they have
car,
to wait for it to not be contaminated, but everybody from the town, they say, everybody go back home, it's fine, drink the water, everything's great. Take shower, it's fine. But they have to wait before things cool down. But all the residents are told, oh, it's fantastic, come home.
It's okay. All right. So this is the vinyl chloride tank car. Top fittings, including the relief valves, were removed and secured in a locked intermodal container pending an NTSB examination. Once the fittings are examined by NTSB investigators, they will be shipped to Texas for testing, which will be conducted under the direction of NTSB. According to press release, NTSB has obtained locomotive event recorder data, forward and inward facing image recording data, and wayside defect detector data. So they got plenty of data apparently. There you go. There's a nice, interesting picture.
Yeah, and they've got all the tracks cleared so everything can continue as normal. There's nothing to be concerned about here, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. The fire crash in East Palestine, Ohio on February 3rd involved about 50 cars, some carrying hazardous materials, including the highly flammable chemical vinyl chloride. The dangerous toxin was released into the air from 5 of the derailed cars before crews ignited it to get rid of the highly flammable chemical in a controlled fashion. Huh. So it was being released into the air, but to actually control it, they're saying that they actually lit it on fire. Uh, area residents have evacuated because of health risks of the fumes, though they have since been allowed back into their homes. So far, there have been reports of local residents and animals dying off, including fish, chickens, and livestock. Federal officials in a public statement regarding the derailment of toxic fire, Buttigieg did not reference the incident during the February 13th appearance of the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington. These are some great pictures. That's amazing.
And look how dark the sky is. Look how dark the whole sky is around. I mean, it's filling up the atmosphere. Oh, yeah, there's TR. Yeah, super duper controlled. A literal mushroom cloud 5 miles wide sounds super controlled to me. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how exactly you can have a controlled burn of that kind of flammable substance, anyways. Like, how can you say, oh, yeah, we're going to control it when it's so flammable it just spontaneously combusts and goes bonkers? Like, I don't think you can really control that. Yeah, Heidi. Yeah, it looks 100% like a volcano. Yeah, I mean, literally. It looks like a volcano just billowing up ash and smoke and all this crud into the atmosphere, except for it's all this toxic chemicals.
It says actively engaged. During the onstage discussion, Buttigieg touched on topics like racial disparity and mentioned the safety risks of balloons, drawing laughs from the audience. But his avoidance of the topic of the derailment and the toxic chemical release didn't go over well on social media, where critics complained that he seemed to be dodging the subject. Buttigieg broke his silence following criticism, uh, posting on Twitter a series of statements. Oh no. I continue to be concerned about the impacts of the February 3rd train derailment near East Palestine, Ohio, and the effects on the families of the 10 days since their lives were upended through no fault of their own. He made reference to an investigation in an accident being conducted in the National Transportation Safety Board, noting that the Department of Transportation was assisting with the probe. Our Federal Rail Administration Pipelines Hazardous Materials teams were on site within hours of the initial incident and continue to actively engage. We will look into investigation resulting based on them, use all relevant authorities, and ensure accountability and continue to support safety. I mean, let's see what's going on here. Meanwhile, West Virginia Water Utility has enhanced its water treatment process for precaution following the derailment. West Virginia American Water said Sunday that there hasn't been any change in raw water in Ohio River intake. So, some of it still seems to be okay, but we did read that they were planning on building a second water source in that area. So it's something. There you go. There's your puppy. And oh,
Oh, did I mute myself?
yeah.
Whoops.
After I gave you the screen back or whatever, you were muted.
Whoopsie. Well, let's go to back to this.
Boomer.
So this is probably read this. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources. There we go. So, according to this press conference, per the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, there is a plume of chemicals in the Ohio River moving downstream near Huntington, West Virginia right now. So, according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, the Ohio River has been contaminated. To what degree, I don't know. I have not watched this as of yet. I'm going to look for this, but that was done earlier today. That was spoken about earlier today, and that tweet was posted around 9 o'clock this evening. So, yeah, and I mean, let me pull back up just to show the original thing that I was talking about earlier this afternoon, and a lot of people have been talking about with this fox breeder who has like a habitat for foxes and things. I believe it's in Pennsylvania, right? Is that what this thing is? Or do they not disclose? Just outside the zone. So, well, it might be in Ohio. I mean, it's right on the border between Pennsylvania and Ohio. But these foxes at this habitat, this one just dropped dead. It was very ill. It was vomiting and had lots of diarrhea, and then it just killed over within 24 hours. And other foxes in their little habitat area are also very ill. And and there is a lot of other wildlife. I mean, we talked about this earlier here, on the show. Thousands of dead fish, other things in the water. They're all dead. They're all dead or they're dying. But I guess we've already seen the fox, maybe.
Who's the hell? Respond lefty? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? You know? Where's FEMA? They've been hiding the whole thing for over a month.
Oh yeah, so, almost a week and a half now. Just about. I mean, well, yeah, I guess it is a week and a half now. They've been hiding all this. So yeah, FEMA's not. FEMA hasn't shown up.
They're not going to show up because they know that the second that they come out, then it's going to get reported on. Because they have to.
But even like Salvation Army, Red Cross, none of these people are there. No one is there. None of these big organizations are there. So I mean, this is really bad. This is very suspicious. This is very bad.
Oh, I know, TR. I know. I know there's a sliver that of West Virginia that's in between Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Well, they touch Ohio and Pennsylvania. I mean, that's where this is. It's on the border. But anyway,
No. That sliver of West Virginia is in between there. What canine is pictured tied on Twitter? That was wildlife. Correct?
the what?
The animal that was unalived on Twitter.
Oh, that I was showing.
You don't have to continue to show that because I really don't. I don't care for it.
Yeah,
It's
but
disturbing. But that
here is
that animal.
Well, yeah, that wasn't the wildlife. That was in a habitat that somebody had.
That's not.
But
domestic.
I mean, you can imagine, out in the wild, what is happening.
Moose maneuvers on one tonight. America's in part of the course of the Biden administration.
So here is the video of this train. This is some surveillance. I believe there's more. This is from Salem, Ohio, and this is outside of the town where it derailed. And you can see the little ball of light there. You're on it there. Ball of light there.
Bernie Mac, you from around that area? I mean, I see that he's saying that the governor's not helping.
Well, but going back to this, I mean, you see the light there. Now, what they said originally on local news reports was that it was a broken axle, and then of course you did read there we did read there at Koolfrogg read off from Zero Hedge talking about how the something or other, like it was a consistent fire. What did it say exactly underneath of it? Do you remember? You remember what like it was like a consistent thing, and so this is the video of it where it's just this consistent fire underneath of it that kept going underneath some of these train cars here for quite a distance, and you can see from this video where it just keeps going, and they just keep going with it. And so that's what this video. Oh yeah, and here's some other stuff, other pictures and things. The clouds, the sky. Okay, that's it. So there's that. Here is something from the air quality. I believe this was, when was this posted? 13th. So that would have been, well, now it would have been 2 days ago. Air quality in the region where this went off, very poor, very bad. But if you look at several of these others throughout here, it's like where the wind would blow it through, like the Pittsburgh area and the surrounding areas in Pennsylvania, as they're showing here, it's all green and fine. I mean, there's one here that's 52, which is bad, but the rest of them, it's like, oh, it's just fine. Like, it's totally cool. And what I had heard from after we did the stream earlier today, and we did the thing, well, we had the break here this evening. I was listening to some people talk about this further, and apparently the EPA stopped testing the air for certain chemicals, so they said, oh, it's not that bad. within the region. So they're telling people to come back. So they just stopped testing for the chemicals and then told people it was fine. That's how bad.
Well, I mean, eventually, once you're like, okay, I'm getting negative readings. Okay, let's stop testing. Tell people it's okay. I mean, that's usually how it works. You usually don't tell people to come back and continue to test. It's not gonna. You get what I'm saying? No.
No, really.
How is this gonna work? You gonna continue to test no matter what, even if you're not getting anything of a positive test. If you're getting negative tests and you're not getting any positive tests, you're gonna tell people to come back. Like, okay, it's safe. You can come back. Ground
But
zero, on the other
weren't
hand,
getting negative tests, and then they stopped doing them. And then after they stopped doing them, they were like, "Oh, look, it's clear, so it's fine." Because they stopped testing for it, and they're like, "Oh, look, we don't see anything," because they literally just stopped looking for it in the atmosphere. They just stopped taking tests for it. Like that's the level of bad this is. So it's present there. It was present there the day before. It was present there however long before, and then they're just like, "Oh, well, we're not gonna test for these certain other things anymore," and so it can dock down this number, kind of what you'd see on the screen here, similar to this. And it's like, okay, it's livable. You can come back. Okay, it's fine. And all the animals are just dropping dead, and everything's dead. So I think that's the same video. Played that. Now let me bring up this article. Where is this? Oh, here we go. This is from the Daily Mail. This wasn't the Guardian. This was Daily Mail.
exactly. That's what I was thinking. $5, and then they'd be complaining. Why are they still testing? They're not getting anything. Why are they still testing?
But they were getting stuff. Like, I mean, they have to test the level of what's in the atmosphere in order to determine if it's safe to return. If it's safe for, I mean, and again, like we've already been over this, like all these animals are dropping dead. And people, and I'm going to play another video here where they did another interview this evening with people that were there that claim that they have chemical burns just from the air, or at least some kind of a rash or something. They're having a hard time breathing. Some of these people, I mean, it's terrible. So I don't know if Koolfrogg, you want to pull up that article that I have sharing there. Residents of East Palestine express fears of about returning after it's revealed that there were more toxic chemicals on derailed Ohio train than originally reported, and thousands of livestock left dead. About 50 cars, including 10 carrying hazardous materials, derailed in a fiery crash in East Palestine, February 3rd. Officials conducted a controlled explosion. Oh, so now it's a controlled explosion rather than a controlled burn. Okay. About 50 cars. Yeah. Homes within a 1-mile area were soon evacuated. If slowly released. Yada, yada. We know that. Evacuation orders were lifted last week with the Environmental Protection Agency reporting the area was safe. Like, I mean, it's obviously not. Everything's dropping dead. But like, hey, everybody, you can return because we just decided not to test anymore to see if that stuff was still there. We're just going to cut it off and then tell you it's safe. It's fine. But as residents return to their homes, some are reporting burning sensations and persistent coughs. Local farmers have also claimed that livestock are suddenly dropping dead, as state officials say that there's more than 3,000 fish across 7.5 miles of stream have died. We were talking about this a little earlier. The fish, but it's interesting. Livestock. So this is cattle. This is livestock are suddenly dropping dead. Thousands of reports of this. It has been revealed that even more toxic chemicals were on board the freight train that had been previously reported. And of course, they're like, oh, well, this is the immediate area. So, anywhere outside of this area, it's just totally okay. As you can see, the town's over here and the plume's over here. So it's fine. Things don't spread in the atmosphere. It's It says, don't tell me it's safe, Kathy Reese, who lives in Negley, Ohio, just northeast of Palestine, told WPXI of Pittsburgh last week. Something is going on if the fish are floating in the creek. You think? Officials with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources have said that a chemical spill related to the train incident killed an estimated 3,500 small fish across 7.5 miles of the streams. Already went over that. They say that they're drinking bottled water, this individual. Let's see. I'm concerned with the long-term health impact. We basically nuked a town with chemicals. Like Kago. Oh, Kagano, a hazardous materials specialist, and I think we read this earlier today. Former fire department chief also said that he was surprised residents were allowed to return home so quickly before all of their homes were tested. Quote, I would have far rather.
Who's this article from?
Testing. This is from Daily Mail.
Oh.
It says, I would have far rather that they did all the testing first. He said there's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering, gee, cancer clusters could pop up, well water could go bad. He added, quote, we basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open, end quote. This is the hazardous materials specialist and former fire department chief who is saying this from this area. We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. A chemical smell still lingers in the area. Some residents return back home. And as you can see, those lovely images, those beautiful, colorful images, right? Of all these chemicals floating around everywhere. Others have taken matters into their own hands, with the managers of the Kindred Spirits Rescue Ranch evacuating 77 of their largest animals, including a yak and a zebu, for 2 days last week. So, yeah. And I mean, they're all wearing hazmat suits, but it's fine for you to go back. Oh, yeah. And there's the Ohio governor. I don't trust him as far as you can throw a stone.
The difference between ground zero and 2-3 blocks away is going to be different now that there's no actual fire. There's no more chemical that's being dumped into the air because it's been a week and a half. But ground zero, yeah. Ground zero, you're going to have to wear, a hazmat suit, whatever, to actually go and clean up the area and make it suitable again. Because, obviously there's strewn cars everywhere. Madcore, what's up, brothers? So what are they saying? It's done on purpose? I mean, no. There's video that showed something actually going bad with like an axle or a wheel bearing of sort about 45 minutes before it occurred, some 20 miles away or whatever, really close by, where they actually got into it, and they have a video of it sparking, and it just so happened to finally derail later on. Why nobody stopped this train from continuing on is strange to me. This don't make sense.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
also, 4 lawsuits have been filed against the rail operator, Norfolk Southern, including one which alleges that the derailment was caused by negligence. The suit is demanding the railroad operator pay for medical screenings and related care for anyone living within a 30-mile radius of the crash.
So then, what really makes me interested in what's actually happening here is just like this is this. Okay, so here, um, this article from Gateway Pundit.
Oh, wait, can I pull this back up again? I thought it was done. There's more.
Where is it?
It says the governor of West Virginia, this is what I was talking about earlier, officials have said that some toxins uh, spilled into the Ohio River near the northern panhandle of West Virginia, causing officials there to shut down water production in the area and transfer to an alternative source of the water supply. We talked about this. The governor said. So that was from the governor. So that was from the governor's office and from the area's sort of like
Right.
environmental protection, whatever. So this is coming from both the area there along the river and from the governor's office. So this is what I was talking about earlier, and I couldn't find anything like, an article and whatever. But here it is. The governor of the state of West Virginia is saying this. He emphasized everything is fine here due to the immediate action from agencies like the State's Department of Environmental Protection and National Guard. Still, water utility company West Virginia American Water is continuing to enhance its water treatment process, as you described in the article earlier. It has also installed a secondary intake on the Gonada River, or Gonatona, or whatever, how you pronounce that. So, yeah, we read that earlier. And I believe that's it.
All right. So then, since the railway company behind the Ohio crash turned record profits in 2022 while drastically cutting employees and quality of life, Norfolk Southern, the railway company behind the Ohio derailment in February 3rd, that forced the town to mass evacuate, had record profits in 2022, despite employee reductions and lackluster treatment of existing workers. Did Norfolk Southern forgo safety in lieu of profits? An information Twitter thread from Woke Societies features an interview segment about precision scheduled railroading with Clyde Whitaker, a leader of Sheet Metal Air Rail Transportation Union and Ohio State Legislative Directors. Um, this interview took place in December 2022 during a gravely consequential railroad strike and negotiation negotiated by Joe Biden. So, when you actually look at this, I'm not going to play the video. I mean, I guess I can, but it's there's too much sound on it. It's really hard to actually hear. So, in the clip, Whitaker is asked about precision scheduled railroading and if it means shorter staff, longer hours, longer trains, less safety, less maintenance. Do I have that all right? Whitaker responds, you got it all right. A lot of derailments you're seeing in national TV is one of the few things. It's lacking maintenance on the track where they cut the track gangs too short and they can't get out to fix it. And they've cut the Carmen, which is a union that works on the rail cars. Whitaker goes, On to talk about the derailment in Northeast Ohio that is caused uh, by a wheel flange. Fortunately, that that one wasn't severe because it was mainly transporting candle wax. Whitaker claims that overworking employees in the effort to maximize profits is responsible for cutting inspection times for cars in half from 3 minutes per car to 90 seconds per car. Issues regarding overworking and understaffing stem back as far back as 2017. More than 22% of the jobs in the railroad's Union Pacific CSX Norfolk Southern have been or eliminated since 2017. 22% of jobs have been eliminated since 2017. That's quite a chunk of jobs there. In an interview, Whitaker told The Holler he mentions issues as simple as being given paid sick leave, more employees to alleviate overworking and time away from home, and adequate training. Whitaker mentions training now taking 6 to 8 weeks compared to 26 weeks when he was hired on. Whitaker says we need a better quality of life for our railroaders. The PSR model, the STB, Service Transportation Board, really needs to step in. They have the power to step in and stop this PSR madness. The customers are suffering as well. All of it, I mean, since 2017, the lifestyle is just terrible. The customers, they're not happy. So, I mean, pretty much what it's coming down to is they're overworking, underpaying um, staff to stay quote unquote profitable in today's market. You can blame one thing. You can blame one thing. Coof. Which we all know goes all the way back and actually leads to a couple particular people that would like to depopulate this planet that we live on.
Oh, by the way, Bernie Mac in the chat says, it's sarcastically, I would imagine, that Vanguard is not the operator. I'm pretty sure, didn't you mention something about that earlier, that Vanguard was, oh, you read it somewhere? Vanguard was like the operator of this, or like is somehow, I mean, Vanguard is over a lot of things, and has a lot of, involvement with rail things and so forth. There were rail incidents last year that Vanguard was over as well. So I don't know.
Well, see,
I don't remember quite.
And that's that right there. There you go, TR. BlackRock owns 30% of Norfolk Southern. So,
well, there you
go. So BlackRock also owns, a major percentage of, almost anything and everything else. So, right, Vanguard is in control. Yes. So all of this, everything that's going on seems to be tied in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, very interesting to actually think about.
But they were also involved with BlackRock and Vanguard last year. That we were speculating about train derailments last year, which there were several large ones where there was a lot of wheat, potash, other fertilizers and things to do with food that got derailed in Canada and the United States. Very large trains carrying lots of this stuff. And so people were also talking about that. Now you have all of these incidents. Now there's been, I think, there's been several incidents of this, but in particular, this one is very eye-catching to think about, because, or to speculate, you might say, because we're on YouTube, with the idea that perhaps somebody would have liked to somehow set this off or set this into motion within this area, And one of the ways in which you can tell that some of our lovely elite people would love to see this happen is when they put it in a film and they fantasize about it. And that's exactly what they did last year with a Netflix film, which depicts this very same thing happening in, I think, like a town or whatever, or like, I think it was like a fictional town or whatever, but it's supposed to be very close to that geographical location. And several people within that town were actually extras in that movie in the town of East Palestine. The movie is called White Noise from Netflix. So when you piece several of these things together, it's like, gee, I don't know. Like, I think it's pretty, like, I don't know. I mean, what are the odds of the exact same thing happening from a film just last year, and then all of a sudden it happens in real life? And you got literal extras from the place there because it was supposed to be within that general, vicinity there, within Ohio, and that almost that exact location. It's like, like it's a little far fetched for me to believe that all of this is just a giant, big, huge coinky dink, because, well, I mean, as we saw from the video, I mean, the freaking thing was on fire and they didn't stop it.
Mhm.
And so it's like, and then of course the question becomes, when and how did this exactly catch fire? I mean, we can speculate, the news, says it like, well, it was probably broken axle. People were talking about, Koolfrogg was talking about maybe earlier something to do with like, the wheels stalled or something of this nature. But I mean, ultimately, we have no definitive proof as to what exactly set this off, I guess. I mean, you have a pretty good idea, I guess. It probably was from those wheels, but how did that exactly happen? How did that, like, when did this happen? Like, what's the mileage? Like, from what point did that start to what point did it end? Like, a lot of questions I would like to have answered about this, but I don't think that it is a coinky dink at this point in time, in my very humble opinion, that this is all happening all at once. All of these different things. There's been several train wrecks, but this one, and then there's a freaking film about it. And then it's like, it's huge, it's big, it's toxic, and it's filling up the whole sky, and it's got the Ohio River and all the rest of it. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I know there are accidents with trains, and I know that we're talking about, how, how reduced, staff with the trains, and TR was talking about this in the chat a bunch, about how they weren't even allowed to, protest and go on strike for, safety concerns and so forth from some of these people. So, I mean, now two things can exist at the same time as well. Like, like, hey, this can be going down because this is a symptom of a larger thing. This is called deindustrialization. This is called, event 20, well, not even 20, agenda 2030. This is called the deindustrialization of the United States and the Western world. And so
You
two
might
things
as
can
well
exist
just call
at the
it
same
event
time.
2030 because it's an agenda, but by the time we get there, it will be an event. Might as well go with it. Huh? No.
Well, I don't know, but event 2030, event two. I was thinking
because
event
by the time
201.
we get by the time we get to 2030, it will be an event.
Yeah.
So you might
Yes,
as
you
well
said
just
it.
call it an event, right? So, while we're speaking of chemical releases from accidents,
Oh, and I got a couple more things about this before we move on to the others. I just wanted to show a video. This is from local news there or thereabouts, 10 miles from East Palestine, Ohio. Here's this woman, and all of her chickens are dead.
So I walked up to the cage, and this is what I found. Amanda Brashears was going to feed her 5 hens and rooster this morning
when she discovered them all lifeless, practically in the same position, with no signs of a predator entering their enclosure.
I'm beyond upset and quite panicked because they may be just chickens, but they're family.
Brashear says her chickens were alive and well yesterday. She believes the smell following the detonation of the train carrying chemicals that derailed in East Palestine is to blame for her birds' sudden death.
My video camera footage shows my chickens were perfectly fine before they started this burn. And as soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. If it can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years.
There you go.
20 years? What, I mean, what they're doing already.
Well, right.
You know, I mean, this isn't.
And here's an interview Tucker Carlson did. I believe it was just this evening. Let me make this bigger. Where he's talking to somebody from this area. Tucker Carlson interviews East Palestine, Ohio resident Nathan Izotic. He says, I have a chemical burn on my face just from returning to his home.
Happened and in its effects. And for that reason, we're grateful to be joined right now by Nathan Izotic. He is a resident of East Palestine. He lives just 2 miles from where it happened, and he joins us now with his wife, Kelly. Thank you both so much for joining us. Are you concerned about being there right now?
Yes, we are.
Very.
Very. I bet you are. Are you seeing effects? I mean, it seems
I
from
bet you are.
hundreds of miles away, like there are dangerous chemicals in your town. Are you seeing the effects of that?
We are seeing them locally inside of our bodies, what we're experiencing. Local fish in our creeks have died. Oily sheens and coloration in our water. Constant smell of burning plastics and chemicals in the air. Issues with our dog, vomiting, acting lethargic. It's scary stuff here, Tucker.
Well, it's
And you could see all those train cars and everything else.
horrifying. It's horrifying. It's a nightmare. And again, if that had happened in Washington, D.C., no one would be living there right now.
I freaking love this point because it is so true. It is so true. If this ever happened anywhere in and around DC, all of these people would be panicking. It'd be all over the news, everywhere. But yet they tell all of these people it's perfectly fine. Go back home. It's totally cool. Breathe it all in. Take it all in. It's just fine. That is such a fantastic point because it's exactly true. They covered this freaking story up for a week and a half. Didn't tell a freaking soul. But if it would have happened around Joe Biden's residence or some of the other different people on Capitol Hill, oh, well, my God.
Well, I
We
mean,
have to evacuate
it
the
is
area.
close enough when you think about it. You think about its general location, and if they would have been, 50 miles the next direction or whatever, they would have been encapsulated in that. You really seriously start thinking about, the distance away that they actually are from that.
I mean, you're right. They kind of already are within the range of having this go downstream, downwind, pardon me. Downwind.
Right. They may still catch some effects over DC. You just never know. Because like you said, they stopped testing. So, I mean.
And again, right, like, I mean, the precipitation is coming in. What's that going to cause? How much of it's in the upper atmosphere because it blew it all the way up there?
Right.
And then it'll condense and come down as rain.
Just never know.
And again, as I think TR pointed out in the chat, he said that when what was the chemical now? The hydrogen chloride goes and meets water, it creates the hydrochloric acid, which is basically like the acid in your stomach. And so when that hits the water, it falls down as acid rain. And so that's what a lot of the concern is. And that's what some of the concern was with what I was showing earlier with the car, with potential damage to it. But again, at what level, I don't know. But yeah, that's also a very good point there. I mean, they are kind of in the radius of this. Just by being downwind, how much of it will they get? Right. And how much of a conniption will some of those politicians throw that weren't told about it, but just everything was let to be happening.
Is there
Everything here was let happen.
any federal presence? Are you getting the
Let's do
sense
that.
that anybody to whom you send your tax dollars every year cares about what happens to you?
At this moment, unfortunately not.
No. So there are no EPA officials in hazmat suits, no one from the Department of Transportation's walking around trying to figure out how this happened, how to prevent it again, that you have seen.
Nobody's knocking on our door.
How many of your neighbors are still there?
Our neighbor across the street and our next door neighbor, they came back on this past Saturday as well when we returned back home. And that was days after when they said it was safe to return, and we still didn't feel comfortable. And as soon as we got into the Ohio line, we immediately smelled the chemicals yet again. And since then, I now have the chemical burns and reaction rash on my face, and my throat is getting irritated again, and feeling very uneasy, very uneasy.
Man, I'm so sorry. And I'm just assuming, looking at the numbers, I've never been to East Palestine, but it looks like a lot of people there probably don't have anywhere else to go.
That's just the thing. We actually just moved here last May and got a nice 14-acre property, place to kind of call our final home, and we're outskirts of the town where the incident happened, but in town, I mean, it's a very small knit area, and a lot of them are lower class and low income. And fortunately, we had a place to go on Sunday whenever we got the 2-mile evacuation order. But a lot of those families, unfortunately, didn't. And this should have happened on Friday, when
the initial crash happened.
When it initially happened, and the chemicals were, for whatever reason, not released or known. And in my opinion, and in my industry, there's a paper trail with anything, especially when it comes to rail cars. There are SDSs, there are manifests, and even if they didn't know, benefit of the doubt what happened then, it's a simple call to the producer, and they can have it to you in minutes. So there's a lot of fishy stuff going on. Yeah.
They know what's in their rail cars. Of course they do. Nathan Kelly, thank you for joining us, and Godspeed in East Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. There's some people from there giving their 2 cents on this particular topic. Also, I like this tweet. Here we've got January 28th, acid tanker train spill, Louisiana. 2023, 2/2, so February the 2nd, chemical railway spill, Ohio. February 11th, fuel pipeline.
Okay, so right, so
all kinds of different things.
You're gonna run into that very last one there. You see today,
nitric acid truck spill today.
Yep,
in Arizona. And also yesterday, there was that one from Texas here. Yeah, the 13th. Well, not yesterday. It would be day before yesterday now.
Here's the one from today. This is where I was gonna go. You're like, hold on, let me do a few things. I'm like, all right. So this is exactly where I was going to go next. Being that there's chemical spills and stuff that are happening. Here's another one that occurred today in Tucson, Arizona, off I-10. This is a stretch of Interstate 10 in Tucson, Arizona, is closed in both directions after a truck carrying hazardous materials overturned. The people within 1 mile radius of the incident have been ordered to evacuate. As of press time, the Arizona Department of Transportation did not have an estimated time of reopening.
And they still had cars driving.
You can see there's some different there's different videos of cars still driving.
That was freaking crazy.
Right?
Like they should have had a detour.
Truck carrying hazardous material overturns on I-10. You can see it's kind of got like a greenish, orangey color. Like they're suggesting it would probably be like a nitric acid of sorts.
No.
And again, folks, 2 things can be true at the same time. There can be sabotage and there can be strained infrastructure on the railways and with truckers as well.
Can see.
So two things can be true at the same time.
Be careful out there, TR.
Is it a road fire? No. Oh my god. Oh yeah, it's a semi.
Trucker John,
Fuck, dude.
our fellow truck drivers that are out there.
God damn.
So, you can see, it's very, nasty looking, strange color.
Yeah.
There's been an official word that the substance is, though many observers have commented that due to the color of the smoke, it could be a nitric acid. And you can see the backups. There's the emergency alert that came through hazmat. You can see they actually, emergency alerted everybody. Most likely, everybody got a message saying, "Oh, be careful." Prior to the accident, National Weather Service issued visibility warnings for I-10 due to blowing dust. So, this is blowing dust impacting I-10 this afternoon. A channel of dense blowing dust has been observed west of San Simon in northeast Cochise County. Motorists traveling along I-10 should be prepared to rapidly reduce visibility below a mile due to blowing dust. So, 5 bucks, right? Oh no, dust. But how much? How much dust really is there? Oh, oops, I hit the wrong button. Over. So so it's like you can see this dense amount of dust that come through that area or whatever. So it's like it's worse than fog. This is given the situation in Ohio, where a train carrying hazardous materials derailed February 3rd, resulting in massive fires that released deadly toxins into the air and water. Tucson residents are demanding quick information and response, as they should. So I mean, it's interesting and amazing how many different incidences you had. The list. How many instances was there? 6, 7 of them of chemical release in the last, whatever, couple months. I don't know if you still had that. But several incidences have occurred of dumping chemicals. So let's see. Take it to the sky. You want to talk about Dianne Feinstein? She's retiring. You don't know? We talked quite a bit about the stuff earlier about the unidentified flying phenomena.
Oh God, all that. This whole thing with like the chemical spills stuff. There's another one that was from Houston in Texas. There was another train car tipping over, a bunch of them tipping over and releasing some toxic chemicals as well. I mean, this is really this is like that. This is like the food processing plants from later last year. And how many of those? I mean, how many hundreds of those that just kept happening? Then there was the train cars that were tipping over that had food. And as I said before, it was food. It was different types of fertilizer, potash in particular. It's a big one. And it's like, and now you're starting to see, it's like it's like now it's like every other day. It's another train car full of chemicals that tips over. And I mean, I understand, things happen, but I mean, like after so many instances within a short period of time, and you even have a freaking movie about the one, it's like this really starts to get suspicious. Now, the one in Texas is supposedly not as bad as the one up there because it wasn't like it was a giant chemical burn and it was an explosion like that, but it did release some stuff. And then in Arizona, you had the truck tip over, release a bunch of that crazy nonsense. It's like something is trying to release a bunch of crazy stuff. Some group, you could say. And even the quartering, I was listening to the quartering talk about he had a live stream a little earlier this evening. And I watched it for 20 minutes or so or whatever. I had it playing. And he was saying, I mean, folks, it feels like we're under attack. It feels like we're under attack. Like, it's exactly what I was like, I just said vocally out loud, I was like, yes, it's our elites. That's what everybody feels like. It's like, because a lot of these people talking about these issues, it's like, well, wait a minute here. Forget this stupid tit for tat. Oh my God, there's UFOs. I mean, we've got freaking chemical spills every other day now, apparently. Just within January alone. I was reading this other article. Do I still have this pulled up? I mean, well, not January, just in this year alone.
Right. Just in those last few months.
I mean, there was, more than a dozen trains have derailed in the United States this year. Just in the past, we're not even in the full. I mean, we're just getting into the middle of February, and there's already 12 train derailments. And how many in February? Already 4, and all 4 of these that we can see have to do with chemical spills. Like, I mean, I'm not thinking. And again, as I said before, they are purposefully, again, the Biden administration, TR was talking about this, like they're purposefully putting a strain on the train transportation of goods on the railways, on railway companies and so forth. They're purposefully putting a strain on them. And so now you have less workers doing more work, and they're wanting to put more train cars, as TR was putting in the chat. They wanted to put more train cars. They got like 15,000 yards, or however long it was that TR was talking about in the chat there, of train cars, and it's super long, but they only got like 1 conductor, or they only got like 2 people taking over the thing. And I mean, you can't keep track of all of that. And so all of these things are coming to a head. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, the thing goes off, lights up, and then there's a pile up and then an explosion, just like there was in the movie about this very scenario just the year prior. I mean, this is really, you really look at all these different things. It's really hard to actually think about all of this being a kawiki ding, because it's all being set up. This is Agenda 2030. This is deindustrialization. So I don't know how many other things we're going to see come out later on.
Right, here, check this out.
This is in
This is 2 more trains, one reportedly carrying hazardous materials, derail 2 weeks after Ohio chemical spill. And we're just now talking about the Ohio chemical spill.
The biggest one of them all, by the way. I mean, none of the rest of these are as big as this one.
We're just talking. I'm just saying, right. That's how easy it is to actually go look to see what else is actually happening. It was nearly 14 days after the Ohio train derailment led to the release of hazardous chemicals in the air. 2 trains derailed consecutively on Monday, according to recent reports. On Monday morning, emergency responders were dispatched to a train derailment in Montgomery County, Texas. A man driving an 18-wheeler was struck by a train and lost his life. The 18-wheeler was pulled for a distance of a half mile along the tracks in a train crash, resulting in derailment of a total of 15 train cars. The Splendor Police Department reported that the train was transporting hazardous materials, leading to dispatch of crews in protective hazmat suits. However, there were no reports of any leaks of derailed cars. Shortly after the incident, a train derailed in Norris, South Carolina, at approximately 4 p.m. Responders from emergency services and CX transportation operators of the railroad have arrived at the scene to commence their investigation. As reported by Fox Carolina, CSX Transportation, the operator of the rail system, and the emergency responders are currently on site. On February 3rd, 50 train cars derailed and caught fire near East Palestine out of 141 total cars. 20 were designated as carrying hazardous materials, and 14 were being loaded with chemical vinyl chloride. According to Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, the Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, air quality samples taken in the region have been deemed safe, with levels below the threshold for concern. However, local residents have reported that animals in the area are falling ill and passing away. In Ohio, residents who operate a dairy farm near East Palestine reported that several of the foxes in the property have perished due to the illness. Additionally, a woman claimed that her chickens had passed away. So, I mean, pretty much everything that we had, kind of covered, but, it's actually, you pointed out that there's been 2 other derailments since the
Yeah, I forgot
Ohio
about the one in
one.
South Carolina. Yeah.
So it's like, how many are there? When's this gonna stop? Why is all this occurring now?
I mean, even Madcore in the chat here, earlier and even here now, just recently, he was in the chat. Hello, Madcore. I don't know if he's still watching there, but just a little bit ago, he was just like, geez, like, holy crap, as we're going over the other chemical spills and the other things. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, and again, the quartering said it earlier. He's like, I feel like we're under attack. It feels like we're under attack. It's like, yeah, because that's exactly what's happening. And then, of course, Bernie Mac in the chat here is talking about, want to talk about food and eggs. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, we were talking about that last year, about all of the conditions that we're going to lead up to all of the shortages that we're seeing now because of them killing the chickens, because, there's bird flu back to the chickens. And so now all of these, they have to just mass kill all of these chickens. They're burning down all of these poultry houses and things, and a lot of these different areas that are full of egg-laying chickens. So these aren't, I mean, I don't know exactly how they do things with poultry, but well, I guess they wouldn't be, yeah, it would be considered poultry, where they, lay the, there's egg-laying hens, and they're like killing all of these houses full of the egg-laying chickens, the egg-laying hens. And it's like, there's bird flu. And so meat chickens are being killed. Egg-laying hens were killed en masse, and they're still being killed. But even before that, there were several fires at some of these poultry plants, massive ones, for the eggs, for egg chickens, not just simply for meat, but for eggs. So, yeah, I mean, we were talking about that a while ago, and lots of other people were as well.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and then there's the one in Texas, right? Like,
Yeah.
that fell over. South Carolina. I mean, at what point do we say that this isn't a coinky dink? I mean, all of these things are coming to a head, right? Like, I mean, the lack
When
of
do we say it's not a
workers.
coincidence? I mean, as soon as they tell us that it's okay to.
Yes.
It's,
Correct response.
not up to us to decide. It's up to them.
Yes.
Speaking of up to them, if you haven't already, do those YouTube like things. Like, share, subscribe. I did turn on subscriber mode, so you'd have to subscribe to join chat.
There's Madcore
Trying to-
there. Madcore Studio says, when you hear the real stories, it's just surreal. Like, yeah.
I'm like, why am I not seeing them? Oh.
Oh, TR, pull that chat up. The TR just put there. That's something. That's something I heard 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I forgot about it. About the chicken feed, and I heard this back last year, even talking about problems with some of the feed, and now a lot of the people are beginning to see a lot of the effects of it. It seems that
There's also chicken feed that's sold to us mini farmers, and all of them seem to be causing chickens not to lay their eggs. I did hear about this. I can't remember. I told you I listened to this um, Spencer Lawn Care out of Ohio. They same thing. They have chickens. They had chickens that weren't laying, and they went through the process of somebody actually explaining to them that buying feed from certain places don't have certain properties that actually help with the laying process. I found that very interesting. I'm like, oh, and you have chickens, right?
who
Church?
me? No, no, I don't have chickens.
Oh, I thought
I'd
you had
like to
chickens.
have chickens. That'd be nice, but have some chickens to give me eggs. That would be nice, but no, I don't. Unfortunately, eggs are superfoods, and eggs can be used for just about anything. Fantastic.
Good for most people.
Oh yeah, I mean you can eat
There's
eggs raw.
some that are allergic. So you know,
Well, I mean, God, like some people have an
know your
allergy to
limits.
water too. I mean, like I mean, like the majority of the human population isn't allergic to eggs. So
Yes, yeah, I knew TR had some too, right? Buy from the local guy. They seem to be laying just fine. Yeah, there was something in one of these whatever feeds that was missing. So I don't want another cold. I just got over the stupid cold. Kids.
where do we want to go from here?
I don't know.
Now that we talked about all of that, oh, and of course, speaking of the foodstuffs, just while we're on the topic, I just remembered this. FDA approved back earlier January. FDA approved nanotech to be sprayed on food and on various
I mean,
growing items, and also nano sized particulates as well can be sprayed without a problem. They say it's totally fine, it's totally cool, totally safe. So it's like, why are some of these people pushing to have this sprayed on food? I wonder. So,
okay, I was gonna flash something on the screen, but nah, can't do it yet.
So there's that too.
Too early. Too early to flash this one. This is something about triggering.
Hey, Judge Maddie says, I'm moving out of the city, gonna get some chickens and grow some tomatoes. Well, there you go. I would suggest that if you have a small garden,
potatoes,
the tomatoes that you grow should be tomatoes that you're going to be able to use a lot of if you're going to grow tomatoes. Don't grow everything as a tomato, by the way, because tomatoes aren't going to give you the calories that you need. But if you're going to grow some tomatoes, which I do suggest, you should get tomatoes that are going to make you like paste and other different things that are going to be good to put into like to make yourself a tomato sauce of any kind.
right.
Yeah, to jar, to put it to make anything you want out of.
Right.
Some of those big ones that are like, you put the slicing tomatoes, those are only good for slicing. I mean, I guess you could can them and do certain things with them, but they're not going to be as good as the paste tomatoes. There's a type of tomato that's called Amish paste. It's really good. It's a vining tomato. And the vining ones will put off all year round. Those are called indeterminate tomatoes. You want an indeterminate one for a small garden. If you're going to have a small garden. And the determinate ones that only grow to a certain size, they will eventually stop putting off tomatoes and they'll die, and you'll have to replant. And so if you want something that's going to continually produce throughout the entire summer for you, for a smaller garden, get an indeterminate vining tomato that you're going to be able to use for a multitude of different purposes. To cut it up and can it by yourself if you want to, or to make a sauce and can the sauce or whatever. So that if you're going to do that, I'm kind of excited to see that from him. I think it's him. Totally look at the Amish paste tomato, and San Marzano has a vining as well. So anywho's, sorry about that. Because I've been looking into that myself. I've been, I do gardening stuff myself, and I'm going to be growing that as well. So that's what I'm going to suggest. Oh, TR says, I really like the heirloom tomatoes and Beefmaster. Oh, yes, Beefmaster's pretty good. I like Beefmaster.
I'm just going to share the rest of the screens that I had just because. Let's do a big. I don't think there's any videos of anything there. The only video that I did kind of want to watch and go over, kind of critique or whatever, was there was a TAT. They went over something today from the Wyoming Republicans. The Wyoming Republicans are pretty much trying to keep a bill that allows 16-year-olds to marry. And Anna at one point in time says something about everybody should be 30 before they get married.
Oh my God. I mean, even freaking Jimmy Dore this past week went on to Jackson Hinkle, who I like to listen to about different things. He went on to his program, his show, his live stream, and he freaking sat there and called out the Young Turks. He used to go on to the Young Turks. He used to talk to these people. Now he's like, oh yeah, all of those Young Turks people, they're all fakes, they're all frauds, they're all phonies, they're all pieces of sugar honey iced tea and some other colorful language that he used. It's like, oh dang, this is someone who comes from a little bit more of the left-wing perspective, but is a very populist type of individual. I don't agree with him on everything, but the majority of things I do. And yeah, like he freaking called them out on their crap, the Young Turks and all those people. Yeah, he freaking let them have it there for a little bit, and it was quite enjoyable. So, like, are these people even relevant anymore? Like, even the people that were on the left or sort of a more left-leaning type of perspective, they're now turning from them and saying, like, oh yeah, you are a bunch of fakes and frauds, phonies. You're full of horse crap.
Toy Box is like, so Wyoming's encouraging predators. What a world. I mean, they're only allowing you to actually get married at the age of 16. There are still some rules and regulations behind it. Like the other person still had to be 16. Like you couldn't be that one was 18, one was 16. It just there's rules and stuff behind it or whatever. But I want to say that the reason that they were actually trying to keep it was because then if they actually were allowed it to be removed, would actually open them up to other things to be implemented that they don't want implemented, such as CRT and transgenderism stuff. So there is a reason behind it that they were actually trying to keep it, but I'm not going to actually cover it. We're already almost 2 hours in. We haven't even talked about these unidentified
UFOs.
Flying phenomena.
It's the extraterrestrials. They're coming to take you. Oh my God.
So you can see here it says Canada had deployed their Air Force to search for the downed object debris in complex alpine terrain. So, you know, the one that was shot down over the Yukon Territory uh, is being searched for. I would almost assume that they would have found it. This is Canada's Royal Air Force has deployed multiple aircraft to search for debris from an object that was shot down over the Yukon Territory on February 11th. Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand has said a CC-138 Hercules, two CC-138 Twin Otters, a CH-148 Cyclone, and a CH-149 Cormorant aircraft were deployed by the Royal Canadian Air Force to help recover the debris. So, I mean, a whole slew of air vehicles to go find this. Additional support is being provided from units for deployed to Whitehorse, Dawson City, Yukon Territory. The debris is located in a remote location northeast of Dawson City in a complex alpine terrain that is prone to challenging northern weather conditions. Dawson City is a small town about 40 miles east of Canada's border with Alaska. And I told CNN earlier in the day that the object was cylindrical and smaller than the object shot down over the United States on the East Coast the day before, citing visuals she and other officials have seen. But it would be imprudent for me to speculate at the time on until we gather the debris and until we do the analysis. The FBI is involved in that analysis. As an RCMP here in Canada, the minister added. The defense minister also told the publication that debris from the object is in a very remote part of Canada with rugged terrain. Anand declined to say if the object was connected to China, citing the need for further analysis. I mean, does it really need further analysis? Can we just assume, or can we not assume that this is Chinese debris? The downed object over the Yukon of one of three territories in Canada's northern marked a third such incident in which the U.S. fighter jets shot an object out of the sky in recent weeks after initially downing a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon off the coast of South Carolina. That one still pisses me off because it floated over the freaking United States. On February 10th, another unidentified object was shot down over northeastern Alaska. Then on February 12th, an octagonal object was shot down over Lake Huron. Officials have not yet stated whether the four incidents were all related, citing the need to conduct further analysis. Meanwhile, efforts are underway for the three objects that have get to recovered. U.S. General Glenn Van Herk, commander of NORAD in U.S. Northern Command, told reporters on February 12th that the military was still actively searching for the object shot down over Alaska. I've got Navy P-8, which is surveilling there, and the helicopter is as well. Once we locate the object, we'll put the Arctic security package in there and begin the analysis to recovery. So, I mean, this thing that there's nowhere near even being close to being recovered, to being able to be analyzed, to know what it is.
Well, right, and so they're all talking about, oh my God, this is UFOs. I said, could this be aliens? Oh my God, and all this crud. And what they have released is that a couple of these that went down. I think the one that was over Alaska, the one that was over Canada. That they did ultimately come out and say like, oh yeah, these were balloons. Like, but at the very beginning of their, I guess, like press release thing, whatever, or their paperwork that they put out for the public, right? or you know, some of the things they were telling the news media, right? It's like it was a UFO, is UFO, unidentified flying object, unidentified flying object. Oh my god! And then you go into it and you read, oh, it was actually just another balloon that they believe was sent over by the Chinese. It's like, oh, okay, that's great. That's fantastic. That's, you know, but see, they're spinning this whole thing to make it be like, oh my god, UFOs, quick, give us more funding, give us more power, give us more whatever, because oh my god, potential extraterrestrials, we don't know. Could it be the Chi-Coms? Could it be the Ruskies? Could it be you know, ET come to eat you? Like, I don't know. You better give us more money though. I mean, that's basically what this is. I mean, this is what's going on now with a lot of this stuff. And I talked about this earlier today. This is the slow release of this Project Bluebeam that the CIA put out in like 60s and 70s, kind of in that general time frame, when they were saying that they need to create a fake alien invasion to then institute more power and control for themselves, deep state people, and the rest of it, and the government. So that is ultimately what this is. All of the previous things of the UFOs and stuff that were claimed to be videos of UFOs, or the unidentified aerial phenomenon, whatever, that was all optical malfunctions with cameras, or an optical illusion that took place after they saw the recording after the fact, when they're looking at it. Sometimes it was during like some of these Air Force people's flights or whatever, and it was from the camera itself, and it was making all these weird things. And you can pull up on YouTube you know, videos of these things and how they're an optical illusion, or how they're something to do with the camera. And you can search this kind of thing on YouTube, and you can watch a 26-minute video or thereabouts about this whole thing, where camera people will talk about, oh yeah, this is from the camera, this is from the thing that closes on the camera lens, this is from this. And you have all these pictures of all of these different things. Oh my god, there's triangles in the sky, they're everywhere. Oh my god, the aliens are invading. And it's just the camera and the lens piece that closes over, or the thing that closes over top of the lens, for whatever reason. I think it was like not coming open all the way or whatever, and so the light coming into the camera reflecting back out, and then like the camera itself is creating those images of triangles, when in reality the shape of the triangle is the thing that closes it over top of the camera lens. So like, it's all just it's all bogus. All of this stuff is bogus. And now they're telling you, and the reason I bring that up is because now they're telling you over Lake Huron, oh my god, you know, because that's above Lake Ontario. It's like, oh my god, it's an octagonal shaped UFO leaked from the Air Force fighter, and oh my god. And it's like, I mean, it was probably some optical illusion of that kind, if you saw anything. But at this point, I don't even know if I would believe that, because it's just like my father's nephew's cousin's former roommate said that he knew the Air Force pilot. I mean, that's basically what this is at this point. I mean, I wouldn't even believe that to start with. But if it did end up being true, and if there was some kind of video, I guarantee you it would be the same sort of wacko optical illusion type of thing that would have occurred, almost like a kaleidoscope type of effect. Sometimes is what those things will create, but sometimes it's just right there at the point blank. Like just point blank right in the center of the camera. So yeah, so this this whole thing is very, very much this Project Bluebeam thing that they're trying to slowly release. And every time something happens that they want more control, they just start releasing it. Every time they want to distract from, say, the committee hearings, from the Twitter files and stuff that was released, and the inner workings with the FBI, the revolving door, pardon me, between the FBI and CIA people and the social media companies, in particular Twitter, this past week or so. They've been having those committee hearings, and all of a sudden the lights would shut off in those things, and then the internet would go down. All these different, well, not the internet, but like all these different social media companies would go down. You couldn't come on. I think YouTube was even one of them at one point. Everything was crashing there soon after that, the same day. Within, like, I think it was within the same hour, even after the lights went off in the committee room, and then those things started to happen on the internet. And then
Oh,
you
hey.
continually have all these distractions. I mean, folks, like they're trying to
I
distract.
have to say hi to someone real quick. I see Pete Beaver sitting over in Rumble
Oh,
by
hello.
himself.
Hello, Rumbler.
Hello, Rumblers. Quiet in here. That's the first message all night that I've had over on the Rumble side. It's been very quiet over there. Everybody go over and say hi if you have the chance, and hit that thumbs up over there for me.
Indeed.
I think there's a couple articles we might actually go over there with. I'm not really sure. We'll see. So I don't know if there's anything more in this particular article that we really need to actually extrapolate from it to get any more information that we don't already have. So,
And I'm going to describe what I described earlier about the whole thing with like how the balloon thing started and then where we're at now, because it's like these things are balloons, but this is like a tit for tat between the United States and China.
No, this isn't something new. This isn't new. Something or other that they just decided to come up with. Nowadays, this is something that's been around for years, since like Japan floating balloons. I have something here to go along with that. Where'd it go?
People in the chat on YouTube are saying hello, Rumbler. He can't hear you on YouTube. You have to type it in Rumble.
Oh. Oh. Well, it seems as though it's the person that shared it with me. It's no longer there, but there's a like a traveler's sign or whatever. It's like, how you get like remote markers. There's a marker that was out there that actually has the story behind Japan's balloons being launched up and over through to the United States with actual munitions strapped to them. They just never were triggered or let off.
They
There's
never
a lot
made
of
it. The majority of them never made it. There was only like
Right.
two of them that actually hit, and I don't even think the one's munitions went off. So that was a
Right.
pretty failed experiment from them. But the idea of sending the balloons across the Pacific to the United States to harm or to do something
Right.
or to spy or whatever, like that has always been an idea. And now the Tricoms, in the more modern day have picked up on that idea. And so that idea has been around. And of course, the United States has balloons and drones and things. Chinese now have balloons and drones and things. And everybody flies them all around. The one that everybody saw was particularly large. And I talked about this earlier in the day. But what I firmly believe is going on here is at the beginning of all of this, when we saw the first balloon thing, that was a test from the Chicoms. Because you have two factions of our lovely globalist leaders in DC and elsewhere in the West that are sort of conflicting on this. But I think they've now come together on this. And I think this is evident based upon what's happening here. And as I described this, that there's two factions. There's one faction that says that the Chicoms are going crazy. They're going rogue. They're not listening to us anymore. We need to go to war with them over Taiwan or something else. And there's another faction that is still like the Joe Bidens of the world, that's in the back pocket of the Chinese, that's like, well, we love the Chicoms, we need the Chicoms, all the rest of that. And so Xi Jinping decides, hey, I'm going to troll here a little bit, but I'm going to find out something. I'm going to fly this thing over the United States. I'm going to send this big, enormous balloon. It's a big balloon because these things fly overhead. Oftentimes, you don't even know that they're there. You don't even see them. They're so high up, but they're fairly small. This one that they sent over was particularly large. because everybody could see it, to the point that air traffic control shut down in Montana and Billings, Montana, because they didn't know, like, how far up it was or whatever, or if it would interfere with things, and or however that happened. So it's like, well, we don't know what this is going to interfere with. We have to ground all the flights. We should ground all the flights. So they grounded all air traffic in Billings, Montana, and then that's what alerted everybody else in the United States. What the freak is this giant thing that's floating overhead? And that was the first balloon, right? But the rest of them that the Chinese have sent, nobody's seen them, nobody's talked about them, nobody's done anything. But this one, everybody saw. This one, everybody looked at. And so, but it was never shot down until after it left U.S. airspace. Well, it's not left U.S. airspace, but until it left over top of the continental United States. Well, right. I mean, so
and
like,
then they shot it down into the ocean. So it's like, oh, if it wasn't already smashed from us hitting it with a missile, now it's in the water. So
right,
that should do those electronics some good. So
Right.
real quick here, for a $5 Rumble rant, P Beaver says,
oh,
the freedom side still pays better. High five.
hey,
Talking Trash and Truth is over there, says, I'll see your 5, won't raise you because I'm on a budget. Thank you for the 5 as well. Both are very, very awesome.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I like
Thank you,
it.
people.
I like it a lot. Yes. You can join the conversation over on the Rumble side if you ever, feel so inclined. I believe we're going to go over there eventually, just over there, are we not? I don't know. Anyway, let's kick this up a little bit. We are 2 hours in, so let's see if we can't fly through. There's some stuff in some of these articles that might find kind of interesting. There you go.
Well, but like, before, I just want to be clear as to what this is real quick. So I mean, this is a test
Again
from the Chinese. Well, I mean, I talked about this earlier, but I just want to make it clear for everybody that's listening here, because there's different people. I really firmly believe this was a test by the Chi-Coms for the United States government, particularly the Biden administration, because they're also very caught up with the Chinese. Which side of this equation do you land on? Do you land on, because George Soros has come out and said, the Chi-Coms are, Xi Jinping is the man with the tiny mustache. And so he's claiming that Xi Jinping is now evil. There's a group of these global people, these global elite people in the Pentagon that are claiming that Xi Jinping is evil now. But Biden's never said that, and some of these other people haven't. And so Xi Jinping's trolls floats this over, and he's like, which side of the aisle are you going to be on here, Joe? And eventually he was put, I think the administration has now been pushed over to the side of, let's go after the Chi-Coms like we did with the man in the tiny mustache in World War II, because we set that guy up in World War II, by the way, the globalist elite people, like the royal family in Britain and the Rockefellers, Rothschild peoples and so forth, all the lovely mega corporations and so forth, helped and assisted in that creation of the Yahtzees. And now they've done the same thing with the Chi-Coms. Mao was a Yaley. He was sent over by the Rockefellers. They started that whole thing up. That's documented. And so China's like, okay, are they going to treat us like the man with the tiny mustache now and try to take us out? Let's test the waters. They send that over. Biden ultimately fails because he ultimately does shoot it down, but he let it go the entire time because he's a Chinese agent. So but ultimately I think he has actually betrayed Xi Jinping's trust now. And so now, because that side has won out, the side that's against Xi Jinping now, because Xi Jinping is going rogue, he's listening to things, they're wanting to create the BRICS thing with Russia and India and South Africa and
we
Brazil.
watched him in a meeting or whatever walk out the guy that was sitting next to him. Did we not? The previous guy?
What do you mean?
Did we not watch them walk out the previous guy, the guy that was sitting right next to him, and watch him not even recognize him? Do you not remember watching them pick this guy up and walk him out?
Oh, you mean the Chi-Coms? You mean
yes?
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
So
So he is cracking down on a lot of stuff. Xi Jinping
He's been
is.
going rogue. He's been going rogue since he took this third term. That's what he's there for. He's like, all right, time to ramp it up, or go home. What's he gonna do? He's
I
gonna
mean,
ramp it up.
ultimately.
So this is kind of
So
what I
that's
was
what I
thinking
think
here.
this all
Private and
is.
public saying here is EMPs, potentiality of flying things like that over over the United States, and just going ahead, dropping one, boom, done.
I mean, that is a concern, and you wouldn't actually even drop it. You would let it off right there because that's the perfect level in the atmosphere to do it. Because if you do it too high from a satellite or whatever, it could potentially bounce off the magnetic sphere of the Earth or whatever they call that, and so that would be a little wonky. But at that level in the atmosphere where those balloons float, all you'd have to do is just set the trigger and then boom, and just set it off, let it float over, put a timer on it or whatever you want to put on it, and then blow it up there. And that's a lot of people's concern with this after they saw the balloon fly overhead. And that balloon was pretty massive. And so it probably would be capable of carrying that, albeit I think actually, to be perfectly honest, I actually think that probably was some type of a weather balloon thing. Like I said, I think it was a troll from Xi Jinping just to see where they lie. And then when they ultimately find out what it is, and the Biden administration is now feels like is forced to go ahead and shoot this down, they take out the whole piece of it where there's all the infrastructure on it, all the pieces, all the computer stuff or whatever. They shoot all that out and destroy it, and then the balloon pops as a result. And then it all falls down into the ocean over the water, as we talked about, right? And that's going to do a lot of good for all that metal stuff and all the chips and so forth that you could look at. Because I think they figured out that it was a troll, that there wasn't anything there, that it was just simply a weather balloon, and it's just Xi Jinping floating this thing overhead just to try to see how things are with the United States. I think that's
Judge Maddie says, you remember they didn't want Pelosi to go to Taiwan. No, they did the same thing with McCarthy. They told McCarthy not to show up either. So as far as that goes, they don't want anybody going in there at all. They just don't want the United States to have anything to do with it.
Well, right, and they are still ticked off about all that. Yeah, they are still ticked off about that.
Well, they're actually saying they don't want McCarthy to go there either. So stay out, just go away. Leave us alone.
I think they're trying to, and again, you could see them, with the UFO thing, right? Like, oh my God, it's UFOs. When in reality, it's a tit for tat. And now the Chinese are trolling the United States even more by saying, oh, well, now we have UFOs we're shooting down. When in reality, that's probably our balloons or a drone of ours or some other crazy thing.
You got some followers out there, Shirts. Watch yourself. a couple of these ladies going after you. Charlemagne, Miss Dinga Dinga, they both.
Oh my!
They like themselves some shirts.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's what I think is happening.
But
that's what I think is occurring here with all of this. It's the Chi-Coms versus the U.S. now, and I think the other side of this, of the globalist faction that doesn't want the Chinese anymore, and they want to try to take the Chinese out like they did the man with the tiny mustache. That side, I think, is ultimately won out now. And you can see this because of this now tit for tat. And they're claiming, oh my God, it could be a UFO or whatever. Quick, we need more funding. And now there's articles coming out and different congressmen coming out saying, like, they need more funding. We don't know what this is. This could be the Chi-Coms. This could be the Ruskies. This could be aliens. Oh my God, we don't know. And so that's what this whole thing is. They don't want to come out and tell you, oh, this is the Chi-Coms. We're in a tit for tat with them over these balloon things that we've been flying overhead over each other's countries forever. And now we're all just like shooting each other's things down or whatever, because that would make the nation go into an anti-war mode. So
you see this here. It says mysterious father balloon-like objects were spotted over Romania and Moldova on Tuesday. Well, we just read the other day here, whatever that. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Moldova that actually their government just kind of fell?
Oh yeah, I
Right.
I don't remember
So,
everything involved with that, but yeah, Moldova's
Right.
really going wacky there, and
Right.
Romania would love nothing more than to take that area of what they believe is theirs of Moldova back. They would love nothing more than to do that, so they are very itchy to do that
so
as well.
it seems as
To move in
though
there.
Miss Dinga Dinga really would like some sexy looking American booty shorts. And Judge Maddie's in agreement. Where's the booty shorts?
Well, we don't currently sell anything of that nature on AmericanShirtsAndFurs.com. We are only focused on t-shirts at the moment. I suppose I shall take this into consideration.
See, Miss Dinga Dinga says for the ladies. For the ladies.
But for now, we don't have any of those options. But you know, I suppose
Make sure you take down a note.
Take that into consideration.
For
Yes,
Miss
I
Dinga
take that into-
Dinga, you'd really like to actually have some American booty shorts. I think you could sell them on the same site. I think you'd be okay. You wouldn't have to set up American Booty Shorts or First.com.
No, I don't. I wouldn't want to do that anyway.
Judgment. Sexy body pillows when?
I mean, I don't currently sell pillows, albeit I probably could sell pillows faster than I probably could the booty shorts thing. But you know, the great Mike Lindell has some great body pillows now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Darth Hideous wants hoodies.
It was
You can do
blocked.
hoodies.
It was blocked because of the words that were in there or whatever, so I can't actually pull up on the screen. But it says dinga dinga is slang for balls plus penis. So, oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Miss Dinga Dinga. Oh, it's so fun. Pete Beaver for $1 over on the Rumble side says, just sell the pillowcase. You don't have to sell the whole pillow, just the pillowcase. I'm down with that because, you know, I like my pillow, but do you enjoy your my pillow? I know there's a couple people that don't. I don't know why, but they just
An
don't.
America Shirts pillowcase would make it better.
It'd
be the perfect addition.
If you had if the thread count was high enough, yes. Sexy body pillows in the shape of a frog with a long beard.
Oh my.
Do it. According to Toy Box Brand. Okay, let's hit this article. It says former Google boss Eric Schmidt, military AI is as powerful as nukes. Eric Schmidt, the former CEO in Google, recently stated in an interview that the use of AI in warfare could become more prevalent in the future. A noted lackey of Hillary Clinton noted Einstein wrote a letter to Roosevelt in the 1930s saying that there is this new technology, nuclear weapons, that could change war, which it clearly did. I would argue that AI-powered autonomy and decentralized distributed systems are that powerful. In the recent interview with Wired, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google and noted lackey of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, warned that the use of artificial intelligence in conflict could be just as revolutionary as the development of nuclear weapons. Schmidt emphasized that the U.S. government must collaborate closely with major tech firms that improve its AI capabilities or risk falling behind China, which has made significant progress in the area. So then, all the people to actually have here, winning reality might be a good person to actually be talking to about this particular subject because he's the one that's really into the AI thing.
Oh God, he would fall in love with an AI or something. He'd like freaking get married to it, for God's sake.
So then, it says Schmidt said every once in a while a new weapon, a new technology comes along with changes things. Einstein wrote a letter to Roosevelt in 1930 saying that there was new technology, nuclear weapons that would change war, and which clearly did. I would argue that AI, part autonomy, and decentralized distribution systems are that powerful. According to former CEO of Google, the Department of Defense, cumbersome bureaucracy and significant problem that might prevent the U.S. military from using AI effectively. Schmidt suggested that the U.S. military should use Ukraine's quick adoption of drones, 3D printing, and battlefield systems during the Russian invasion last year as a model for implementing new technology. Schmidt thinks that the U.S. government may be at disadvantage in the race for AI supremacy because of its reliance on established practices and draw bureaucratic processes. Schmidt stated, "We're facing a very significant challenge from a very, very focused competitor that knows what they're doing," alluding to China's progress in AI. Russia has displayed its AI-equipped autonomous killer robot tanks in recent months, using a variety of sophisticated sensors and robotics. An unmanned marker robot can travel great distances and attack targets automatically for up to 3 days. Artificial intelligence is not new in war, and Russia has been working on autonomous weapons since 2015. Uh, so like I said, winning reality would be a great person to have around right now for this particular topic because it is what it is, and it sounds though is there's gonna be some very interesting technology that we're going to actually see come around real soon here that it's probably already there. We just haven't seen it yet. That's going to cause damage for up to 3 days. Like, what the heck? Are you kidding? Thank you, T3. T3 went and gifted a Koolfrogg Army membership. Looks like Madcore Studios picked that up. Congratulations, Madcore, on your. She did another one. Thank you, T3. You're the best.
Jeez. You people are too nice.
I mean, yes, they are. Wonderful, wonderful people. So, I mean, you don't have any thoughts on AI, do you? You really don't.
Other than it's the devil, and nobody should ever be participating in any of this.
Nobody should be participating in any of this.
None of these people should be making this kind of stuff. None of these people should be sitting here talking about a lot of this. I mean, I have some opinions about like AI in general, but that probably take a little bit longer than what we want to do. We're already 2.5 hours in, so.
Here's the next article. U.S. Navy drills in South China Sea as Beijing justifies blinding Philippine sailors with lasers.
See, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is what I'm saying. I think this side of the government in Washington has won out. And now we are beginning to have a much more hot war footing, you might say, with the communist Chinese. So, yeah. So we're no longer. I mean, if I'm correct, we are no longer in bed with the Chi-Coms. Albeit, you might have some people that are still in bed with the Chi-Coms. The government writ large has now turned on them.
Dart says I have some opinions about shirts opinions, but I'm gonna keep them to myself.
Oh, what about the AI thing? Probably. But yeah, so I mean, clearly from this, I think it's becoming ever more obvious by the day, and then the balloons thing, that they want to go after the Chi-Coms like they did the man with the tiny mustache after they set him up, put him in control, put him in power, and then all these mega corporations began to do the exact same thing that they're doing with the Chi-Coms. You've got Nike in China now, you've got Apple, you've got all of these mega corporations that make everything in China. And now the Chi-Coms are saying, yeah, we want to try to break ways with the West and break ways with our globalist masters that have been over us forever in the corporations. And so George Soros comes out and says that Xi Jinping is now evil and the man with the tiny mustache, even though George Soros himself worked for the man with the tiny mustache, interestingly enough. So he would know. So that's very, in other words, it's like a very fake response, but it's kind of telling because they are treating Xi Jinping like the man with the tiny mustache in World War II. Because after they put him up there, and Time Magazine says that the man with the tiny mustache is the man of the year, and everybody in the West is raving about the man with the tiny mustache in the 30s. As you get into, when we start to go into WW2, they treated him the same way that the Chi-Coms are now being treated. Because I think he was starting to go fairly rogue there. And so it was like, well, okay, no, we can't have this now. And so we got to get him out. But they still did do a fairly good job pillaging the Germans. And NATO's, the guy that is one of the people that was there when they set up NATO, he's quoted in saying when they first originally put up NATO, they said the purpose of NATO was to weaken Germany and make sure Russia never does anything. Or never expands, or never, or it's against Russia. It's supposed to be, it's created to go against Russia and to weaken and always keep Germany weak. And so that was the whole point, to rape and pillage Germany.
Go against Warsaw.
And, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're treating the Chi-Coms just like this, where they put Mao in power, they put the Chi-Coms in power in the, what was it now, like the 40s, 50s, whatever, with the communist Chinese that were there. And they helped the communists actually win our intelligence agencies, and the OSS is what they were called at the time. They helped them, and this is all documented, they helped them win the Chinese Civil War, the Chi-Coms. And so they put them in control there, and then they started to bring all the mega corporations and things over and all this kind of stuff and da-da-da. And they started to do that. And so now, of course, in the modern day, that's been ever expansive in that it didn't start that way originally with the mega corporations thing, but that became much more of a thing in the like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and so forth, and up until now. And so now you see where we're beginning to start this sort of, oh, the Chi-Coms are now bad. We need to start going against the Chi-Coms. You see this article that Koolfrogg was talking about. This is just further evidence, I think, of this position of the West now against the Chi-Coms, because they are not listening to us and they're trying to create another sort of breakaway economic system and so forth from the Western world, and trying to encourage. They're actually on Russia's side in the Ukraine conflict, which is a very big no-no to a lot of things, a lot of the organizations within our lovely globalist elite sphere. And so that's what we're seeing here. So this article just further, I think, substantiates that point of view.
Exactly, Darth. The Warsaw Pact is defunct. Time to disband NATO right now. Why?
Well, right.
I
But
mean,
see,
just do
NATO's
it.
purpose is to keep Germany down and to keep Russia down. And so they have to, so that's the purpose of it. It's economic and financial in nature in as much as it's military. And so that's again the Nord Stream pipelines being blown up by the United States that horribly affects Germany in particular. And that's what they wanted to do. And again, the very thing with the man with the tiny mustache and the Germans, the whole plan with that was to go in there and to grape the German people and the land and so forth of everything that they could get out of it, and then leave them with nothing basically. And they were fairly successful in Russia with doing a lot of that, and basically degrading and destroying Russia for quite a long time with the Bolsheviks. And the Bolsheviks were from Germany, actually. The Bolsheviks that were eventually ended up in Russia. They were actually originally from Germany, and our lovely Western elite people sent them to Russia and then paid them all this financing and all this war effort over in Russia, and then they ultimately took that over. And they took over Russia and threw out everybody there, which the Tsar at that time was first cousins with the King of England, and they were literally the spitting image of each other. And so all this is documented. And so that whole plot there, and so NATO itself was created to keep this up, and to keep this kind of thing going, not only militarily but also economically, as we have now seen with the Nord Stream pipeline and so forth. It keeps Germany down, and it goes after Russia, and that's the whole point of this.
Who pays for NATO?
We do. United States.
We do.
The
Yes,
majority,
United
absolute majority of it. Trump tried to change that, and now you see with the Ukrainian conflict, the majority of money comes from the United States to the Ukrainian conflict and all the rest of it. And of course, it's a NATO conflict, even though it's unofficial. We know it's a NATO conflict. Russia says it's a NATO conflict. They already know this. So everybody recognizes this. So yeah.
Right. We do. All right. So, this is the U.S. The 7th Fleet announced the beginning of military exercises involving the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the Mackinac Island Amphibious Ready Group, the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group on Sunday. The USS Mackinac Island is a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship for landing helicopter dock, essentially a small aircraft carrier that can launch helicopters and other aircraft that can take off vertically or require very little runway space. They also carry landing craft needed by Marine units to come ashore in force. LHDs excel at providing rescue and humanitarian assistance as well as combat power. The Mackinac Island is the latest of 8 ships in its class, the only one to use an all-electric design instead of partially relying on steam power. The Nimitz CSG normally includes 3 destroyers and 2 cruisers, but the cruisers are currently detached from the group in other missions. The 7th Fleet, based in Japan, said the drills began on Saturday but did not specify an end date. The goal of the exercise was to establish a powerful presence in the region which supports peace and stability. As a ready response force, we underpin a broad spectrum of missions, including landing Marines ashore, humanitarian disaster relief, deterring potential adversaries through visible and present combat power. Official social media page of the Nimitz CSG, Mackinac ARG, and 13th MEU hinted at the joint exercise last week by continuously posting infographics of their composition throughout the week and tagging each other in the posts. And I quoted the Philippine Coast Guard statement about the laser attack on its ship on February 6th, as well as other reprehensible Chinese laser attacks on ships and aircraft, and also on Sunday report from Japanese Ministry of Defense about a Chinese ship approaching islands claimed by Japan. The U.S. takes no official position on sovereignty in the South China Sea, but maintains that freedom of navigation and overflight must be preserved. The U.S. The Navy's current series of exercises are called Noble Fusion and have included training with the Japanese Self-Defense Force. Noble Fusion is focused on developing techniques to quickly aggregate and seize key terrain at the time and place of our choosing. Descriptions of the Noble Fusion exercise provided by participating sailors, pilots, and Marines make it sound a great deal like they're practicing to rapidly neutralize or capture the militarized islands China has been building in disputed waters across the South China Sea region. They're actually building, like physical building islands out in the middle of the sea that are not actually mapped.
Oh yeah.
They're claiming territories and trying to actually, put military might out in the middle of the water.
Right, and they think that by doing that, they'll extend their own territorial waters as a more permanent, so they can have a much more permanent structure, a military structure, infrastructure throughout the South China Sea. Yeah, they've been doing that for quite a while.
He's like, please take me down.
Oh, and Darth, your previous comments about the Frankfurt School, yes, 100%. They came to the United States. The alumni of the Frankfurt School came to the United States. Mike talks about that. That's some of the roots of Antifa and some of these other like commie groups and some of these other different, quote unquote anti-fascist type groups or whatever. These leftoids in America. That's where that originated from. And they went to Seattle, Washington, conveniently enough, and that's how our friend Mike, or Space Power Monkey now, that's what he's talked about. He talked about that the first time we ever even had him on. He talked about that whole thing with Frankfurt School people from Germany. Yeah. So, anywho's, that was just a comment in the chat there.
Absolutely. If you throw enough dirt in the ocean, you can make an island to phase up. Yeah. You can do almost anything. Let's see. The most powerful tool of the U.S. military is a Navy USMC cohesive joint team. We have no doubt that we will execute like this tomorrow should we need to defend ourselves or be asked to help defend allies or partners in the region. So they're ready. Navy's ready. They're like, no, all right, let's go. So I mean, all the things that are occurring across this world, from balloons to train derailments, to actually keep us, unaware of, what else is happening in the world, to telling us to stay out of Taiwan, to backing Japan, lasers in the Philippines, trying to actually, push tensions. They're pushing tensions almost everywhere, and that's what they want to do. They're going to continue to do that until they get their way. And I think that the only thing that they want to get, quote unquote, their way would be World War III.
I mean, ultimately. And that's just total nightmare scenario. And so the thing that we have to do as the public is expose this and expose this and expose this for what it is, not fall for any of this Project Bluebeam bullcrap of, oh my God, it could be extraterrestrials. Oh my God. And just lose our ever-loving freaking bullcrap minds. Like, we have to call this out for what it is. These people are wanting to try and take out the Russians, take out the Chinese, whether it be full-scale war or whether it would be this sort of, underhanded warfare type stuff that's going on in Ukraine. They would do the same thing with Taiwan. Yeah, I mean, so they want this to occur in some form and fashion. At what level, how hot this will go, I don't know. But they want to take out the Chinese now. And I think that's because he's been going rogue. He has not been listening, Xi Jinping, and he's doing way too many things way too quickly. And it's out of control for our globalist leaders who put the Chi-Coms in power to start with, who have given them all their money and everything that they've been able to do to start with. Now they're trying to break away. And so it's like, oh, no, you can't do that. No.
It's all right, Darth. We got you, brother. Got you. Which one comes first, Civil War II or World War III? Not Civil War III. I mean, you could Civil War in itself could be considered part of the World War because you just for what it is. That's what most wars usually started off as was civil wars. Though the United States always gets involved in everything, in every freaking war. They get involved in some of them that they shouldn't be getting involved in, like other people's civil wars. Okay, so I mean,
it is a pretty good point.
Yeah. Right. So, there's some weird things that are going on. This is Biden's sneaky HR 5376 is a nightmare for retirement savers. As we all get older, we all age just slightly. As time progresses, there's
Donald
many
Trump
of us.
hasn't aged a day.
There's many of us that will never ever retire because we just love working. The following article of Ron Paul is sponsored content by Birch Gold. Aha. I'm infuriated. President Biden is attacking American retirement savers with a vicious financial scheme. He couldn't get his Build Back Better bill passed last year because everyone knew it would cause more inflation. So he stubbornly pushed for another Congress through Congress as a renamed HR 5376, otherwise known as the Inflation Reduction Act. Biden's own words, I think we can break the package up, get as much as we can now, and come back and fight for the rest later. And they certainly did get a lot of bills. Breitbart's Sean Moran reported in August the Inflation Reduction Act would also add more fuel to the inflation fire, according to Rep. Jason Smith, the ranking member of the House Budget Committee. He explained that the Inflation Reduction Act utilizes budget gimmicks and fake offsets to mask the true cost of the bill. Smith said the bill would add $114 billion to the debt when accounting for Manchin's fake gimmicks. Without a doubt, the sneaky move confirms that I've always believed first governments will never stop printing fiat currencies until it is worthless. The second anyone keeps their savings in dollars or stocks should consider smarter options today. So, is there something you can do? Yes, physical gold. So I mean, they really kind of go into this whole birch gold thing, physical gold, get the gold, do the birch gold thing. If you haven't been listening to Nick Recator or several others that are actually into this birch gold thing, that you should totally do so. But what Ron Paul's actually pushing isn't just for birch gold. He's actually pushing to actually say this is what actually did occur. There is something that's out there that happened, and we need to really start paying attention um, to all of the bills that are being passed, because they're just renaming things. And so now you got Ron Paul out there trying to tell you, get yourself in a better place, because if you're thinking that you're fine on the retirement that you have, I mean, I feel sorry for my parents. I really do. They've been retired for a few years and they've been struggling. They've been struggling. They said that they were struggling under the previous administration. So, as far as that goes, thoughts?
Not really. Nope.
Perfect. Secret China donations to University of Delaware soared after opening of Biden institution. Go figure. They just so happen to start giving them more money. I'm gonna kind of swip through this. I don't really. I'm good. You?
Huh?
Okay. Sweet. Dick Durbin and Lindsey Graham proposed a DREAM Act amnesty for nearly 2 million illegal aliens. So now they want to actually.
Of course he did.
Of course she did. Right? So now they want to actually push it through, so that the majority of the people that have already taken and moved themselves into the United States illegally will actually be um, given amnesty, be allowed to actually stay. So this is Dick Durbin, Lindsey Graham, one Democrat, one Republican, or one Rhino, have proposed that DREAM Act amnesty would provide green cards and eventually naturalized American citizens to nearly 2 million illegal aliens. Graham and Durbin, who hold powerful positions in the Senate Judiciary Committee, reintroduced the amnesty after repeatedly proposing the plan since 2017. According to current estimates, the amnesty would allow almost 2 million illegal aliens enrolled and eligible for the Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals program to secure green cards and eventually naturalized American citizenship. So, was just leave them here. Leave them here. We'll sign the bill. We'll spend some couple $1 billion. Because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Here you go. Here it is, right here. $115 billion. Let's just keep on spending more money. Because why not? At this point in time, eventually spending more money is going to get us up the hole, apparently, according to what Congress government thinks. So dumb. All right. Dahmer Hamlin is asked about why his heart stopped. Oh, maybe we shouldn't do that one here.
Whoops.
Dianne Feinstein to retire after more than 30 years in Senate.
And more than 435 years of life. after some point in time, I don't know exactly when that they created Diane Frankenstein, but she's always been this ugly, Anyway.
So, I mean, you can kind of get a little, for instance, here. For more than 30 years, U.S. Senate and a half a century in public office, Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, announced on Tuesday that she will not seek re-election in 2024. Feinstein was first elected for Senate in 1992. I'm announcing today I will not run for re-election in 2024, but intend to accomplish as much for California as I can through the end of the next year when my term ends. I campaigned in 2018 on several priorities for California and the nation, preventing and combating wildfires, mitigating the effects of record-setting drought, responding to homelessness crises, ensuring all Americans have access to affordable, high-quality health care. Congress has enacted legislation in all of these topics over the past several years, but more needs to be done, and I will continue these efforts. So, she's still going to hang around. Here you go. At the age of 89, she's the oldest sitting member of the Senate. '89, not 330 years, whatever, 830 years that America's church actually thought it was.
Well, I was pretty close. It's pretty close.
It's pretty close, but yet, as the oldest member of the Senate,
I think they may have forgot another digit there, but we won't go that hard.
It sounded as she's not going to be the only one to actually retire from the Senate this year. It sounded like there's going to be multiples, or this year, this coming 2024. 2024 should be fun and very interesting to pay attention to.
Oh, it'll be somebody that's way worse that they'll try to put into her place. Way worse.
Oh, yeah, of course. Arkansas woman arrested for over alleged bomb threats is a bearded biological male from.
Oh God. Oh my God. He must have spent too much time drinking some of the water out of the Ohio River or something. Like, holy crap. The hell happened to him?
It's a her.
I mean, this dude looks like a psycho. I mean, he looks like. Just scroll back up and just look at it for just like a couple more seconds if you can bear it. I mean, like, he looks like a psycho freak that dressed up as a woman to go and like kill your grandmother in her basement or something. I mean, like that's what this freakazoid looks like.
Why is he not smiling?
I mean, he looks like. I know he's psycho.
Why is he smiling? It shouldn't be that way. So then, this is a Conway, Arkansas. Late last week, a suspect in a bomb threat scare was arrested. 29-year-old Lily Mastenmacher of Conway, whose Mastenmacher's mugshot appears to be a biological man. Appears to be. With a beard and long hair, and is described as local news reports with female pronouns.
My.
Was arrested and charged with false reporting and placing explosives, according to local voice. I mean, do we want to hear what Tucker says?
Well, he's not going to talk about that.
On January 31st, 2023, the Oxford Police Department received reports of social media posts in which a person spoke about a bomb threat in Oxford, Mississippi. According to local voice, police officers and an explosive detective canine searched the area mentioned in the post and deemed the area safe. Investigators later learned that the person behind the threats was Massenmacher, with an arrest warrant for Massenmacher being issued shortly after the discovery. Conway police arrested Massenmacher. On February 10th, Massenmacher was transported from Conway to Oxford, where Massenmacher was booked. Issued a $50,000 bond for this man, or woman.
Or,
Her name's Lily.
oh my God. Oh my God, the leftoid virus is like infecting Koolfrogg or something. I don't know. Yo-no soy, ladies and gentlemen. Yo-no soy. As all I can say, they're turning the frogs into lefties.
Her name's Lily. Just say it a couple more times. Eventually, it'll sink in, and you'll see that he's actually. Oh shit! A he.
The politically correct. The politically correct totalitarianism is now infected Koolfrogg show. Take off the leftoid hat, Koolfrogg.
It's getting to the
It's
end,
affecting
so
your brain.
we're supposed to
It
have a
happens to
little
me
bit of.
sometimes. I have to take it off.
I'm supposed to have a little bit of fun before we leave YouTube. You know, you can't go out on a bad note. You really don't want to do that. So here you go. Food staff to undergo racial sensitivity training after serving chicken and waffles for the first day of Black History Month. A food vendor found itself in hot water after a tweak to the. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a tweet. A tweet to the New York Schools menu, or tweak to the New York Schools menu and kick off Black History Month and deem cultural insensitivity. Apparently, I can't read. It remains unclear what parents thought their children were going to be served when they showed up in the cafeteria at Nyack
Putin's
middle school in February, right?
Kleptocracy.
But based on reactions, they hadn't anticipated their kids would be getting chicken and waffles with a watermelon dessert. David Johnson, principal of the school, located roughly 15 miles north of New York City
It's
in
so
the western
racist,
side of
it's
Hudson
insane.
River, right? Reacted to the following day in a letter to parents that read, "We are extremely disappointed by this regrettable situation and apologize to the entire Nyack community for the cultural insensitivity displayed by our food service provider. I'm disappointed that Airmark, a national Airmark. I mean, I'm interested in the watermelon dessert. I'm interested in if it's any good.
It's probably just a slice of watermelon. Some like cheap, stupid, like ripened the wrong way as they send it off to the grocery store, GMO'd crap watermelon slice that has no sweetness flavor to it at all. It has nothing in it. It's just like empty melon water and a melon slice. It's just like, there you go. Remember, we love black people. Like this. I mean, this is like an Amazon where they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna start feeding all the black employees chicken and waffles. It's like, holy freak.
So it says, I was disappointed that air markets would serve items that differed from the published monthly menu, especially items that reinforce negative stereotypes concerning African American community. As reported by WABC, the current menu posted in the school's website shows cheesesteak, broccoli, and fruit as the planned menu item for February 1st. But a previous iteration from January that included the first days of February showed chicken and waffles being served with zucchini, baked beans, and banana. So I mean, there's been several versions of it, and it needs to stop. Who cares what the hell they serve and what day it is that they serve it? Let them cook their food, go eat the damn shit, and just be happy that you were actually able to eat that day, because some people don't get the chance to eat. Speaking with the student,
You
Hunter
must eat culturally
Santiago.
diverse foods, or else after the camps with you. Snay, snay, snay.
Speaking with the outlet, student Honor Santiago explained that she told her mother about the offering when she got home and was confused about the watermelon because it's not in season. They were both reportedly outraged, and Santiago added the decision made the kids feel bad, especially like the kids that are my color. Lindsay Siegel, parent of a sixth grader in Nyack Middle School, told the Journal News, I was surprised it wasn't caught. It's really disappointing. Nyack NAACP President Nicole Hines weighed in. The chicken and waffles and watermelon are a stereotype of black folks, African Americans, because that's what they think that we like or what we eat all the time.
I mean, literally, these libtards, that's exactly what they think. These libtard Karen freakazoids, these pasty white freakazoids that want to tell everybody what to do, that's literally what they think. They think, oh, well, since black people just eat chicken and waffles all the time and eat watermelon all the time, even when it's out of season, like, okay, like that's what we're going to put on the food menu because we've got to make everything more diverse, Like that's why they did this.
So it says, following the backlash, Aramark released a statement to apologize and said, while our menu was not intended as a cultural meal, we acknowledge that the timing was inappropriate.
Oh, bullshit.
Our team should have been more thoughtful with its service. This was a mistake and does not represent the values of our company.
We
are
full
committed to
of
doing
horseshit.
Better in the future. Let us bend over and
French.
take it up the ass because that's what we like to do.
That escalated quickly.
To ameliorate the situation, the vendor communicated to the school district that their employees would undergo a sensitivity training tailored to the diversity, equity, and inclusion desires established there so employees who work in the schools participate in training that aligns with the Nyack School District's vision and commitment to equity-driven work. We believe this will provide a good learning opportunity to deepen understanding of the impact of systemic biases and negative stereotypes concerning the African American community. Nyack's interim school superintendent. What's it?
I said, oh, well, there you go. There it is. There it is. It's to combat the systemic negative stereotypes of the African American community. There you go. There you go. There you go. There it is. There it is. Oh, but it wasn't on purpose at all.
If they didn't have the great Kool-Aid with it, I really don't know.
Oh my God.
I mean, you gotta have the great Kool-Aid.
Oh my God. This is getting so bad.
Nyack's interim school superintendent James Montesano expressed how the district was extremely disappointed, but was grateful for the vendors' response and outrage, and said, in part, "We were encouraged to receive the appropriate response from Aramaic in taking corrective action, which includes demonstrating their willingness to participate in training that the district will provide." According to the journal, this wasn't the first time Aramaic had committed such an offense. As in 2018, the vendor had offered up ribs, collard greens, and Kool-Aid at an NYU dining hall during Black History Month in 2011. On Martin Luther King Jr. Day, they served chicken and waffles to students at the University of California, Irvine.
Oh my God.
Tweety U.S. News. Grape Kool-Aid, fight me.
Oh my God. It's like these people are just so bad. They just can't. And it's Kay said in the chat, it's like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't type of thing. Where it's just like, okay, we're gonna put all these black people meals in the thing because we're gonna make everything diverse. And then they get screwed over because it's it's just so obviously racist. Like, oh yeah, like we're gonna eat the thing that all the black people eat all the time, which is chicken and waffles and Kool-Aid. Like all of this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah.
Damn, now I'm starving.
I mean, and I'm not saying it's bad food or anything of that nature. I'm not saying it's like, like you can't have it. But I mean, these people are just trying to push this crap because it's like, oh, well, we have to, do everything diversely and all the rest of it. And then now they're getting screwed over because they just try too hard, I guess. Like they're just getting eaten by their own is what they are. And it's beautiful to watch. It's so hysterical. Because we need more culturally diverse foods like chicken and waffles and watermelon. And you need to get them coloreds and the Kool-Aid. Oh my God. It's so bad.
Pete Beavers over on that Rumble says it's best to ignore it. Stop talking about race and serve food. Really? I mean,
right, but like that's why they were doing this, right? It's like they were going after the race
trolling. They were trolling.
Yes, Malcolm X was right. White liberals are the worst.
Collard greens, not collard greens. Yes. Collard greens are actually pretty good. Make them right. Just saying.
Oh yeah. I like collard greens.
Mexican tamales and tacos. I really don't have anything else. I had 3 other articles. One says Dahmer Hamlin. The other one says Democrats' war on children explodes over unalivings, personal unalivings. And then there's don't take the jabby jab, as boosters can trigger certain things according to CDC and the FDA. We can go over to the other side or we can just not. It's totally up to you.
I'm a bit tired at this point, to be perfectly honest.
Right on. So, all that being said, everybody,
Everybody.
America shirts are first.com.
Go to the website, people. Gosh. And with the discount code Koolfrogg, you can save 15% on anything in the lovely store. Go check it out. You can get a belated Valentine's gift, perhaps, or just for the heck of it, grab it. Grab this stuff up. Got the new line that's still there. It's available. Obviously, the abolish triple letter agencies, end the Fed, abolish the CIA, abolish the FBI, abolish DHS. Go check those awesome T-shirts out, ladies and gentlemen. Go grab you some. They're still there. Go check it out. Discount code of Koolfrogg, 15%, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. Go do it. Go do it. Go do it. Oh, and I also have my Rumble thing. I haven't really done too much with my Rumble recently. Over the past couple months because I'm kind of busy with stuff. But I am thinking about doing some things over there. Posting a couple things. But totally go subscribe to that if you'd like to keep up with that video postings.
Sure, P. Beaver be excited
on the Rumble
about that.
side. Yes, indeed. I had to think of it for a second.
Right. So then, all that being said, thank you all so very, very much. There's plenty of ways to support me. While I'm still monetized on YouTube, I say it that way because I seem to have lost a couple more subscribers over today. And the cushion's really, really thin. Need to pick up some more subscribers somewhere. Tell your friends where we're at. Ask them to subscribe. Madcore Studio says, I'll see you tomorrow. LawTube tarot card readings with T3. T3, the kitchen witch. Then Thursday, you can see Koolfrogg on Madcore Show about false copyright strikes. Yes. After the early show, you'll see myself with Madcore on Thursday. You'll see T3 with him tomorrow for sure, doing the card reading. Those will occur after the early show ends. Come check us out early and hang out. Again, plenty of ways to support. Buy me coffee. There's PayPal links. There's other ways. There's right here, right at the YouTube while I'm still monetized. Before I lose all my subscribers, I don't know what's going on. YouTube seems to be doing something out of the normal, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do. Just keep Darth away, according to Toybox Brain. I mean, he was gone today, and I lost the 5. So as far as that goes, we'll see. Thank you all so very, very much. Have a wonderful night, day. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Right? You'll be here?
I plan on being here.
Plans on being here, so he might not. So, be ready for the potential of no America shirts. Let's hope he actually shows up. Thank you all
I see
very
somebody
much.
in the chat asking if my website is down. My website is not down anymore. It is up. It is functional. It is beautiful. It is lovely. You should totally go check it out.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Later, people.